Welcome back to the Brush Creek Podcast. I'm your host, Chance Tudor.
And I'm Chaz Truehill. Welcome back to Brush Creek Podcast 27.3. This is episode 18.
Number 18.
17 of them's in the books already.
Oh, yeah.
On the web. Little report. We always like to do some kind of report, whatever season we're in. We are obviously officially out of rut reports, out of migratory reports, and into gigging reports before fishing reports start. So,
Gigging and shed reports.
yeah, gigging and sheds.
So, been gigging a few times in the past week. Uchi still kind of sucks. We did get some rain.
Yeah.
And the creek came up. So, we got some fresh water, which is good. It brought a few fish in. I wouldn't call it full-on spawn yet, but there are a few fish up in the creek. Pushed a little bit of that dirty water out, so there's going to be better days ahead.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I got for the gigging report. I mean, it's getting ready to kick off, and it's getting ready to get good. It's getting ready to be gigging season. Chance
is one of those friends that he may or may not invite you to gig, and when he does invite you, he'll send you a picture of him, even if you're fasting. He sent me a picture of about 20 fillets laid over the cardboard box, knowing that they were getting ready to go into hot grease while I was
Chaz was
on day 2 of 3 fasting, and it was probably the toughest picture I've looked at in a long time.
I was just kind of poking the bear a little bit.
Yeah, a little 3-day fast. It was good though. I'm glad I did it, and I'm also glad to be eating again. So I showed myself really fast how tough the flesh is. It wants food more than the spirit. So,
well, maybe we'll get some suckers in your belly this weekend.
I'm needing that. Actually, it's supposed to be nice. We have a really nice 10-day forecast ahead of us. I think one little 30% shower one day, maybe next.
It's supposed to be cold Monday.
Yeah.
High like 42.
Oh, I didn't even see that, I guess. I saw some sunshine.
It's going to be in the 20s Monday morning and Tuesday morning.
Oh, goodness.
But
right
back up to about 90 like next Thursday or Friday.
Warm days, though, too, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Monday's the only day that's going to be cold. It's going to be like 42. So.
And 60% chance of storms on Sunday. I didn't realize that, actually. But, yeah, we got some 69s, 60, 67, 78, 75. Some good little sunny days coming up. I think tomorrow night we're going to try to do a little gigging. I don't know if you're going, but Max and I are wanting to go. So
I'm going to try.
Yeah. I'll probably be eating their sucker sandwich with you then.
I figured.
A little shed report. One so far. This is looking like the worst year ever. Cool little buck. I mean, just a small buck if you're looking at the little split G2. It's a mule deer shed. No, I'm teasing. I hope to have more than that eventually laying up here. I've only got to go 2 times, and I'm headed to Texas next week during spring break. Spring break starts tomorrow, and I'll be in Texas at the end of next week.
So you get a spring break also?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They call it break because it can break the bank when you take off work. Yeah, spring break. Yeah. So I'm gonna go break the bank.
You're only one ahead of me right now.
That's true. That's the closest you've ever been.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I plan on coming back with at least hopefully a solid 10 or 20 sheds from Texas. It's always pretty good there. So
usually find quite a few down there.
Yeah, we found 18 last year, and we found a few deadheads didn't take, but then found some deadheads there. Parker's kind of got the hogs kind of figured out where they're at, and been watching some big deer. Hopefully in their shed by the time we get there, and got some coyote hunting to do. He's all set up with thermal and a suppressor now. He's a big boy, so I'm ready to do that with him and have some fun. I think the kids and wives are going to do their thing.
Do whatever.
Yeah, shop,
who
whatever.
Cares?
Yeah, who cares? Just as long as they leave us alone.
So I guess shed season down there is very similar to here.
I think so. Yeah,
a little later maybe, a little earlier.
I would generally say earlier because of the weather, which he says has been a little chilly there, but now it's supposed to be 90 degrees while we're there. So I've already never really thought about shed hunting where rattlesnakes are. So that's already crossed my mind a little bit. So I don't know what to think about that. I think it's supposed to be 90 to 93 the whole time we're there. We're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we'll leave. So,
well, I'm probably out on shed hunting where rattlesnakes are.
I know. But the good thing is you get in that helicopter and they can't reach you up there.
Yeah. You spot them from the helicopter?
I never saw one. I'm sure you could. No, we saw one on a road one time, a dirt road, yeah. Yeah, they was just kind of slithering across. But, of course, you're flying so fast most of the time it's hard to tell. But Yeah, I'm looking forward to that little trip. It'll be kind of a reset trip. Get away from my phone for a little bit. There's not great service in some spots there, so
just leave it here.
Yeah, it'd be fine with me. I'll just leave it with you. But that's probably our reports for right now.
Yeah, I don't have much. I did had 4 bucks come in on camera, all slick-headed. I went and made a pretty big circle and no luck. Didn't find anything.
I have only, like I said, I've only been twice. I had a deer yesterday on camera. Could have been Tuesday, and he little 8-point, decent little deer. He still had both horns, and I've got a few, that were shedding 1st of February. So I know there's obviously horns there, but I just don't have the deer like I generally do this time of year. They usually winter on me pretty good with feed, and I got coons still coming to corn. I guess I didn't trap enough of them, so.
No, I think you sent them over to my feeder.
That's good.
Because there was about 10 the other day.
Shucks.
As soon as you quit trapping, they come over there.
Yeah, those things were not a lot of fun.
Yeah. I did, Saturday. Last Saturday, I went out and did a little hinge cutting.
Yeah.
So I have a blind, just a homemade box blind. It's like 4 foot off the ground, about 10 foot total height. There's a lot of pine trees around, so it's real open. And there's some scattered oaks that were, just small. Hinge cut about 12 to 15 of them. Just kind of put a little barrier around it.
Mm-hmm.
It looked good.
Just to feel a little more secure, more.
Yeah, because it's so open through there, and there's
not so much bedding. This is more just fencing, kind of.
Yeah, just kind of a barrier.
Put a blind on it. Yeah.
Yeah, make them feel a little bit more secure coming in, because they're it's so open. They're super hinky walking in there, and just really checking everything out.
Yeah, that's good. How long do you think trees last on a hinge cut? Well, some people say forever. So I don't really know how.
Probably depends on how good of a hinge cut you get on it.
Yeah.
You want to leave a little bit of meat on the bones, so it can still, they'll still
feed itself.
Bud out off of that.
Yeah. I saw Hank was doing some hinge cutting.
Yeah.
The other day. I know Larry done a couple years ago, a bunch.
Hank sent me a video on Snapchat, and it was a ginormous tree that he laid over in a holler. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like a huge tree.
Yeah.
It looked like it come all the way off.
You'll find some wounded deer in there in the future.
Oh yeah, that'll be some good bedding right there.
Yeah. Speaking of finding a wounded deer, he actually talked about his daughter Emma's buck on the podcast, and they found that first of this week, probably, maybe Sunday.
Or it might have been Saturday.
Yeah, maybe.
No, it was Sunday. I think
it was a good deer.
Yeah.
Golly, if you haven't saw that yet, it's on his Facebook. Jump on there and look. It is. I bet Emma was smiling from ear to ear when she got that home.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of her holding it, and she's just grinning.
I told him to film that. I think he said Daisha was going to film her reaction to it. I bet that was a sweet moment.
It was a hammer.
Yeah. I'd be just unreal happy to have my dad find that for me, but couldn't imagine being 6 years old or whatever she is, probably 7 maybe.
It's going to be a tough one to top.
It's a big deer.
It's an absolute hammer.
Is it in the 70s, you think?
I would say it's probably all over it. It's, mainframe 10 or 11 with
high 60s for sure.
Kickers and stickers and big eye guards.
Which I've only saw pictures. I'd like to see it in person.
Right.
I bet, figure out what do you score. Man, I'm talking a brute. Anyways, tonight's guest, episode 18, is none other than the man himself, the main man, the legend. I'm having to read all the stuff he told me to say. The toughest guy in the world, tallest person, best looking.
Big Bad John.
He had me read all this stuff. This is so embarrassing. No, I'm going to probably get beat up after the episode. Mr. John Henry Ward, as we all know, is Henry. Big Henry. Man, it's a pleasure to have you. It's a perfect time of year to have Henry on the episode. We're going to dive into gigging. It's going to be fun. Henry, tell us a little about who you are, where you're at, where you're from, what you do.
Oh, there's not a whole lot to tell. Grew up in this area. I've been around here for as long as I can remember. Probably most people don't know where Kenwood is, Little Indian School, but I grew up there. My mom taught there, so we lived outside of Jay, but drove there to go to school, and so I knew most of the people around here. But as I got older, went to school here for a couple of years in Jay, and then my dad had a job in Oklahoma City, which took us to Yukon, and going from Jay to Yukon was probably not the most fun thing in the world, but at the end of the day, I think it worked out well for us. It was a good move, and everything works out for a reason. And so from there, was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to OU and went and wrestled there, and which led me back to here. Whenever I finished school, my brother was getting ready to be a senior, and I needed a job, and so started putting in applications places, and was fortunate enough to get a job at Grove, to be around him, and just never left after that. Had some opportunities, but nothing really, I think, good enough to make me want to leave. And had family around here, and it was a great fit for me. Being able to go fishing, being able to go hunting, do the things that I like doing, and that I really couldn't do in the city very well.
Right.
And so,
I bet a big transition from Jay to Yukon. I mean, that was
yes and no.
Yeah. How many kids were in your graduating class there?
I think I had 440.
Okay, not just giant. I thought maybe there'd be 1,000 or so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think at Jay at that time we had about 65, 70 in my class.
Pretty
and we'd go
big.
there, and we had 400 and something. So it was big, but I think what made it feel different was the high school at Yukon was just 11th and 12th grade, and then they had 9th and 10th grade. So it didn't feel crazy,
Right.
And the people there were very nice. There was a lot of people just like it at Jay, and so it was a good transition. Met some people that were great people, and so fit in quickly, and it was a good place to be.
Tell us a little bit about you kind of just jumped right over the career of wrestling. It's a little bit more than just went to OU and wrestled. You can brag on yourself for a minute because I want to hear it.
Well, I don't like to.
I'm not saying brag on yourself.
I don't want to brag on myself because I think it's one of those things of where, although I feel I was proud of what I was able to do, and accomplished a lot, I guess, in some ways. But when you are friends with people that were way more accomplished than you don't feel very comfortable talking about some of the things you did.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I was lucky enough to win a Big 12 championship.
That's pretty cool.
Was an All-American, wrestling in the Olympic trials and qualified for that. And was an All-American at several different age levels in freestyle, and so did some fun things. But like I said, when some of my best friends were
peers,
were in the Olympics. They were on the world team. They won several national championships.
Wow.
And so it's kind of like, you're proud of what you did, but it's kind of like I paled in comparison to what a lot of those guys did. So.
You did more than Chance and I.
Yep, for sure.
Especially in wrestling. That's pretty cool, though. I mean, you wrestled.
I've wrestled a lot of people, and we go back through it, and it's kind of like people. I think the older I get, the more it's like I don't like talking about it. It's just like nobody really likes to hear it. Like, oh, well, this guy did this 30 years ago.
I think it's kind of cool still. He's my bodyguard, so it's cool to me.
And so I think I go back to whenever I was 18, 20, 25. And you see somebody that's 40 or 50, and you're like, that dude is old. And that's where I'm at now. I'm 51 now.
You're the old guy now.
Yeah. And so when I look at somebody, I'm trying to talk to somebody who's 25, I'm like, I get it. Trust me, I get it. And so to me, though, 25 years doesn't sound that long ago, but I know it's a long time ago now.
Yeah, I mean, it goes by fast. I'm 37 years old, and it's crazy. John Williams and Kyle, I was just talking to them yesterday, and they looked at me and said, man, your 20-year reunion's coming up. And I don't know if I even knew it until they said that. I knew it, but I hadn't really I was like, no, yeah. Golly.
Yeah. Next year.
Gosh, I mean, it is.
Once you hit 20, 30's right behind
it.
It just goes.
Here it comes, huh?
Yeah, because what am I at 32 now, I guess I've been graduated.
Man.
It doesn't even seem possible.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
Who was probably one of the most accomplished guys that you wrestled while you were at OU?
There's a lot of guys looking back at it that were national champs and on the world teams and Olympics and stuff like that. But if I had to pick one, probably Stephen Neal.
Yeah.
And Stephen Neal, for those that don't keep up with wrestling, he was an amazing athlete and a great guy. And he was right at my size. He was like 6'6", probably 250 pounds. And but, man, he was fast and strong and athletic and a good wrestler and just a lot of the things that I quite wasn't. And wrestled him twice. First time he beat me, I think it was like 6-3, and then the second time we got in a little scramble right off the bat and got caught in a bad spot, and he pinned me pretty quick. And it was like, he's at a different level than I am. But his his senior year, I tell people like how good he was, and it's hard to kind of grasp it. But his senior year, he went and he won the NCAA championship, and then right after that, he went and he won the University National Championship, which is like 24 and under, and then he went and won the senior level national championship in freestyle, which is open to anybody in the United States.
Wow!
And then he went and he won the world team trial the world team trials,
Goodness.
and then he went right after that and he won the world championship.
Unreal.
So in a span of like 4 months, he won every single thing that you could possibly win. And then he stayed around. The next year was going to wrestle again and got beat in the Olympic trials or world team trials. I can't remember which one it was, by another guy, Kerry McCoy, who was a really good wrestler. And then so he was kind of like second in the United States, and so he just decided to go try his hand at football and was lucky enough to catch on, and then played for like 7 or 8 years with the Patriots. Won a couple, 3 Super Bowls, and I've seen him several times at a few NCAA tournaments, and just a super nice guy, and one of those people like you're happy for him that whatever success he had, he's a great person and he's worked for it and deserves everything he gets. So.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny when you look at those guys like Cale Sanderson, who coaches at Penn State now, was the first undefeated 4-time national champion. The times I've spent around him, we were on an all-star team together that went to Korea. And, when people don't understand just how good these people are and how hard they work at it, and there's some of those people that are like that are not good people. But Cale Sanderson you're not going to find just a better person than him. I mean, just fun to talk to and be around, and the level of respect that he has for others, and it's just people like that. You just almost in amazement of just how good they are and how humble they are. And maybe in some ways that's why they're so good. Because
Definitely.
They have the right attitude and the right outlook on everything.
And that guy, the first guy you mentioned, it's almost like an honor to be pinned by him. In a weird way. Like, if I want to get pinned by somebody, it's going to be this guy.
It didn't feel like that.
I bet not. Probably not at all.
I think what made it worse, and I'll go back, like I said, I don't mind, making fun of myself at times, but, I think I was ranked number 3 in the country at that time. And for where I wrestled him when I got pinned was at the all-star duel. So this is like a number 1 versus number 2. We're going to find out who the best in the country is. And so, the number 2 guy couldn't make it. So they called me, which they had it in Stillwater that year. So it was luckily just an hour and a half away from where I was in Norman. And they called me like on a Monday, and they're like, "Hey, you want to go wrestle in this?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Heck
Yeah,
yes.
What an opportunity.
Yeah, I want another chance at this guy. And I thought I wanted another chance at him. We'll put it that way. But, you tell family and friends, and so you got a lot of people there, and it's the who's who of college wrestling. There's all these, just amazing wrestlers out there, and then you walk out and you get your butt whipped, in a quick fashion. And I think in a lot of ways that helps me. I think of the things like that, and I never get too high on myself.
Yeah.
Right.
You never, that there's always somebody out there tougher. There's always somebody out there bigger.
Right.
And, I think it's always helped me to not, even though I might be bigger than a lot of people, I know there's somebody out there tougher than me.
Yeah, that's true. That's wisdom. A little humble pie, I'm sure, that day, huh?
Lots of it. Lots of it.
Especially at that age, what are you, 21 or 2, something?
Nah, I think I was 23.
23, yeah. I mean, we know how we all were at 23.
yeah.
I mean, I would have probably walked in like, this guy's going to find out who I am today, which I would have never wrestled, so that wouldn't happen. But, man, that's a lot of success in that. I've heard, obviously a lot of your stories, just over the years, but it's cool hearing that stuff again. I mean, it's not every day you meet a guy with your success even. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Especially from this area.
Absolutely.
That, was raised here, lived here forever, and is now back here.
Yeah. Getting to serve the community. It's really cool. Kind of just ties all together. It's just really neat.
I don't know. I think I've been very blessed and very fortunate. I've had the opportunity to be a part of a lot of things with a lot of good people. Mm-hmm. And, I tell people sometimes the stars align and you just get lucky. But like my Little League coach for most of my life was my dad, and he got inducted into the Oklahoma Wrestling Hall of Fame, National Wrestling Hall of Fame. And my high school coach at UConn was a really good guy, and he got inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, Oklahoma chapter. And then my college coach also got inducted in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, Oklahoma chapter. So it's like it's not like I've just been, around a bunch of people who didn't know anything about it. I've
Right.
been lucky in my aspect to be around a lot of coaches that knew a lot and were great people. And, just again, very, very blessed and fortunate to be in a good situation in those aspects.
That's cool. So now you're, when you come back to full swing, back to serving your area, are you the head coach of wrestling, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to mispronounce that. And then you're the defensive coordinator at Grove. So head coach wrestling, and you've been there since what year?
2001. So
Yeah.
this is my 26th year in education.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Never planned it. When I graduated college, I was all full intent on going and being like a public relations, marketing type thing. And I was going to go that route. And when I finished college, it was kind of like, I don't really want to be done with wrestling yet. And so kind of talked to them and was able to get on as, they call it like a freestyle coach or a volunteer assistant, but they still pay you a little bit just so you can live. But I coached up there for almost a full year. And at that time, my brother was a junior, and being a part of college wrestling, man, I didn't have any time to go watch him.
Yeah.
And so I kind of made that decision of like, at that time too, it was kind of a tough time because my parents had got divorced a couple of years prior to that. And so he didn't really have any, a dad at home, or a brother or anything like that. That's kind of a interesting time in a young man's life, when you're sophomore, junior, senior in high school. You can make some poor decisions quickly.
Yeah.
And
you're just eager to get back to be around, I'm sure.
And so I made that decision. I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to go and get alternative certification so I can come back and teach high school, and so I can be around him. And whether, at the time there wasn't a job opening there. And so it was, trying to get a job somewhere where I could still go around and watch him and be at some of the same tournaments and things like that. And then was fortunate enough, like in, I think it was August 1st or something like that, just a couple weeks before school started, that they called me and said, hey, we have a spot, we'd love to hire you. And so the rest is history. Been there for a long time. So
yeah, that's cool. And then later on you married the love of your life, who nearly took she took Jay quite a ways in girls basketball here.
Yeah.
How far did they
She was
go?
a stud.
Yeah. How far did they go that year?
They were
Semis?
I don't know if they was first round or semis. I know one of the years, like she talked about how they were ranked number one, like her junior and senior year. And one of those years, she said we just choked. We got there and thought it was a team. We played a team that we'd beat by like 40 earlier in the year, and we just had a horrible game. And they beat us by 1 or something like that. And so that was I know that. I'm not sure if it was the first round or semis. They made state both years, but
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, for sure. I remember just being in all of boys and girls around that time, probably from 99 to 2003. I mean, Jay had some really good basketball teams and pretty good football teams.
Yeah.
It was some good years, especially as a 6th, 7th, 8th grader. I mean, 9th grader. I mean,
It was something really good to look up to.
For sure. You'd go to every game and just cheer to your horse. I mean, it was those were the days. Your wife was a stud. My wife, as you know, of course, they're friends now. My wife looked up to Miranda like she was just a god of J Bulldog, the J Lady Bulldogs. I mean, just Miranda was it around here. She's cool. She's a stud.
I didn't get to watch her play in high school, but I got to go see her some in college, and she was fun to watch. And, I always enjoyed watching her play and compete. And so,
two superior athletes get together, and their kids are bound to be top tier legends.
There's no guarantees on that. No guarantees on that.
Or blood runs deep.
Yeah. We have 2 daughters, but they. It's always strange how kids are different, and the oldest one's different than the youngest one in several ways. But they're both just awesome kids. Love them to death.
Awesome girls.
And it's funny how they have different likes, different attitudes, different. They're just completely different. Even
you would think they were raised on different continents. I mean, honestly, not like Max and Rex. I mean, just completely different. It's crazy. Like like my boys. I mean, I don't know if they could be any different besides looking like twins. It's unreal. I mean, they don't even remotely do the same thing. I don't just like Lachlan and Gwyneth. I mean, it's wild. But yeah, it's I'm sure I've watched both of them play ball. They've got it in them for sure.
They look like they're going to get some of yours and Miranda's height.
Yeah.
Yeah. They the oldest one's about 5'9" right now. She's a sophomore.
Yeah.
But and it's one of those things I don't know because I didn't whenever I was a sophomore, I wasn't very tall. I mean, I just kept growing all the way till I was 23 or something like that, 24. And so she may grow a little bit more. I don't have any idea how tall they'll be. Who knows? But I know their feet are getting big, and that's which means that costs me more money when I
for
go buy
sure.
more
Shoes,
for
yeah.
stuff. But
Man, they grow up quick too, don't they?
they do.
Golly.
We were just talking about that the other day. The oldest one's a sophomore, and it's like, man, we have 2 years left after this, and she's off to college. And, it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. Jess made me cry. She said, "Do you realize Max is halfway out of the house?" I mean, however she worded it, and I was like, "What?" She's like, "We have 18 years with him. He's 9 into it." And I was like, "Hang on a second. Boy, I got a little cutting onions around here, a little watery eyed." And I said, "You can't say stuff like that. Like it felt like it happened that fast."
Yeah.
Golly, man.
Yeah, Gwyneth, she's a pretty bright lady, but she will throw out things. If I say, let's go do this, I'm like, can we wait a little bit? She said, Dad, you only have 743 days left with me.
Oh my gosh!
What?
Don't say that.
I don't need the number. Oh man.
Yeah. And so she knows kind of how to pull the strings, make me go do what she wants to do.
Come on, Dad.
Oh man.
Which I like doing things with them, but it's even more of a reminder. Like it's the days are
A little
getting
perspective
numbered,
there, huh? Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, when you start counting them, it's for sure. Well, tell us a little bit about your hunting lately. How's hunting been for you? Did you wind up killing a deer this year as far as a buck?
I did.
That's what I was thinking.
With during football season, your time is limited, and then as soon as you get out of that, you jump right into wrestling, and so you don't have just tons of time to go. You can sneak away here and there and get a couple days, but I think this year I was able to hunt probably 7 or 8 days, and saw 2 or 3 nice ones. Of course, early I put my daughters out there. They love going hunting with me. The youngest one, she will go at any time I go. It doesn't matter if we're leaving at 5. She's up and ready. And then the oldest one's like, I kind of like the hunting in the afternoons.
Yeah.
Which I get that too. But and so the youngest one, actually put her on 2 really nice ones. And she probably didn't want me telling this, but the first one, she hit it, but just we followed blood for a while, and you can see where it bedded down. We never could find it after that, and it was a nice deer. And then saw another one, and it was kind of coming at a pretty good walk, and she had to spin, open the window, and get it out, and then made a quick shot, and we had it on the camera so you could see the camera. And right before she shot it, she pulled it down low right, and missed it. And she. And I said, "Don't feel bad. Like I wish I could tell you I've never missed one, but sometimes that buck fever makes that heart pump a little fast."
Yeah.
And so she got a good taste of that this year. So she didn't kill one this year, which was like her first year to not kill one in several years. But I was able to kill a decent deer. It wasn't anything great this year. It was a wide one. I think it was like 19 and a half, 20 inches wide.
Yeah, I forget about this buck.
Yeah, it just wasn't real tall tine, but it was wide, and it was kind of neat looking deer. So. But
when you're so busy during football season, just any time in the woods at all is success for you. I'm sure,
and it's fun to sit out there, and I love being out in the woods,
just
and
disconnect.
enjoying that. But got that one. But I've killed some decent deer over the year, but it's kind of one of those where I have just a certain limited window that I get to hunt in. So if the good Lord chooses to put one in front of me, then awesome.
I wish our viewers knew the definition for you of decent.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, he's killed some decent deer.
I used to say decent.
He's killed some good deer.
Oh, but nothing like a monster. I think I've got 3 in the 140s.
There's some good ones.
That's about it. I mean, that one might be close to 150, but
that story's pretty cool. The one that you kind of like a belly crawl or whatever. Yeah, that was a fun story. You told me that a while back.
Yeah, that was. I don't know if I should tell that on the air. There might be somebody who hears it and remembers that day at church. I don't know if I've ever told Chad that story. But I was coming home one day from hunting, and it was on a Sunday, and it was probably about 10 o'clock, and I'm coming home, and I'm going down the dirt road, and I see a doe standing. I mean, I'm probably like a mile and a half from my house, and there's a doe standing right there on this fence, and I was just kind of looked at her, and I thought, why is she just standing there? And I start looking around, and I could see the horns sticking out of the grass in the fence line. I was like, oh,
that's why.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there looking at him, but he's not a monster. He's probably 130-inch deer, but he was
he's
old.
Pretty though.
He was old. Got some really neat character on him, double brow tines and a big hole in one side, and and so I sit there and looked at him for a while, and I thought, well, it's not my land. I'm pretty close to town here, and so I just went home. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, I'm going back. I'm going to go talk to that guy, and at least he can say no. And, so I drive down to his house and just kind of tell him, hey, there's a nice deer in your field, and he's bedded down, and do you mind if I go shoot him? He goes, no, have at it. I'm like,
Heck yeah.
So I go out there. I was really fully expecting him to say no. And when I went in the house, I took off my coveralls, took off all my coat and everything else, and I had my hunting bag in the truck, but I didn't have coat, I didn't have nothing. And so I'm in basically short sleeves, and it's 25 degrees and misting rain out there. And so I'm not going back to the house and risk him getting up and leaving.
Typical Oklahoma rut day, though, really. Just nasty weather.
And so I pull up on that dirt road. It had a big rise in that field, and so I kind of pulled behind it, and he's probably 400 yards away. And I start walking, and I kind of see over the top of it, and the doe's kind of, so I know what I got to do. So I start getting on my belly and crawling. I got my bag and my orange, and all I had was an orange with short sleeves. And it's just like, my hands are starting to get numb. It's starting to get just extra cold. I'm carrying my gun. I get all the way out there. And I'm probably 200 yards from him, and I kind of look up, and I was so focused on deer, I didn't realize that up the hill kind of a little bit, there's the church sitting like directly in line. And it is 10:55. And so people are in the parking lot talking, getting ready to walk inside. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. I'm just, the more you wait, the more I'm getting freezing cold. Like my fingers are hurting now, like so bad. I'm afraid I'm not even going to be able to make a good shot. I'm like kind of gauging it like, all right, there's got to be at least 20, 30 feet of rise there. Surely there's no way this bullet's going to hit. I'm going to hit the deer. So, good decision, bad decision. I slide over a little bit, so I'm just a little bit out of line.
Not quite in line with the church.
And so I get it right on him and shoot. And I mean, he just kind of crumples and didn't barely get up. And he just kind of crumpled and stayed there. But all the people in the church parking lot, you can just see them all turn. It's like, what was that?
Who's this hillbilly down here?
I just put my head down and just tried to start slowly going back to the truck.
Right before you shoot, you're just praying that Lord will put a hedge of protection around that church.
Exactly.
Guard these bullets.
But no, it was a nice one.
It was a pretty deer. It's cool. You got a lot of characteristics, like you said.
Was.
Yeah. Probably an old buck, I would say.
Yeah, he was real old.
You're just beefy looking. Yeah.
He had to be 5 or 6, which is cool because my friend Cameron, who I work with, they have some bunch of land that they right next to that where they hunt, and he's killed 2 or 3 really nice deer out of there. Not really so much like that deer, but they're all like mainframe 10, 12, super tall, not real wide. They're just really neat deer.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Any you like to every now and then we always talk about doing a little shed hunting. Have you got a chance to go this year at all?
We went once this year, and I probably walked around for about 2 hours, and about what I normally find, which is nothing.
Yeah, that's same here. That's not the that's the kind of the norm, especially this year. I think it's personally going to be one of the worst shed seasons that I've saw. Yeah. I mean, not just because I've only found one, but I mean just even just based on camera. I mean stuff. It's just. Everyone he talked to, Laramie has found one good shed, and I guess this is kind of number 2 because I found one that I let lay at the feeder so Larry could find it, but I didn't really find it. I just walked up to the feeder. But anyways, Laramie found a really good shed the other day. Actually, his best shed he's ever found. It was over 72 inches. Man. But even he grows deer. I mean, this guy actually pretty sure he has something with his tractor implement that actually grows deer.
He's putting something in the ground.
Yeah, there's something like the horns actually coming out of the ground. No. But this is, he told me that day, used to he didn't shed hunt at all. I mean, it just wasn't for him. And he started doing it because you get to learn more about your own bucks and stuff. It's it's kind of research and development, if you will. But anyways, he told me the day before he even got started, he's I don't even want to go. He's like, I don't even know where my bucks are. They're like not really wintering here. I mean, it's just it's a different year. And I don't know if it's the weather, if it's the lack of winter, it's whatever it is. I don't know. But it's just different. It don't even feel like 1st of March. I mean,
got really warm really fast.
Yeah.
Did they already go to their summer places?
I know. I mean,
what's going on?
And then you think like, no telling where these horns are. Then one shows up your camera, you still got both sets, and you're like, what in the world? Like, that's why I can't find them. They're still carrying them. But, I mean, I know some's already shed. I mean, I know for a fact I had some shed in, like I said, mid-January and early February. But
then you had one show up yesterday or day before that 9-point.
Yeah.
And never really seen him before.
Lost anything. No, never. Yeah, I don't even know where the deer's really from. I mean, never saw that deer on camera. I don't know. It's just weird. But that shouldn't keep you guys from getting out there and still trying. I mean, you still got bucks in the area. You still need to go find it. The horns don't disappear on a bad year. You just got to do a little more walking. They may not be as congregated. Like usually, I might be able to draw a 100-yard circle around 7 or 8 sheds that I find, or 9 or 10. And this year it might be 2 here and 1 there and 1.5 mile away. I mean, it'd be different. They still got to fall off their head. I mean, it's not like they're just gone.
Yeah.
Now, what can hinder that is if we get too much warm weather from now on and all the foliage just comes back. I mean, then you're trying to look through grass and leaves and green briars, and it makes it more challenging.
And we only have about a month till turkey season. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can look while you're turkey hunting.
Yeah.
But
And Chance and I were talking, speaking of turkeys, I've noticed my turkeys have started splitting up
they
already.
started busting up.
Yep. I had a long beard come in all by himself, and probably the first one I've had by himself since maybe last spring, because I've got a group of 4 that are always together and a group of like 8 that are always together, and then a big flock that's always together. I never have single birds at all at this part. Would you kind of agree with that? I mean, it's usually at least I think my smallest group's a 3. I have 3, like 2 Jakes and a Tom. Then I have 4 good Toms that stay together. Those are kind of ones I got to focus on. But anyways, just probably just one of those years. Sometimes it just doesn't feel. It's kind of like it's where everybody's talking the same thing. It already kind of feels like turkey season's still a month and a week away. It just seems like it should be right now almost because of weather, and I don't know. I know last year I hunted for like 6 days and I was over turkey season. And I was like, this is not for me. You're supposed to kind of be a little bit chilly in the mornings, not sweating.
It was warm.
Yeah.
Do you turkey hunt?
I don't get too much.
Yeah.
I don't get like this is the time of year, like I said, where I'm usually it's full on making gigs, and if I'm not making gigs, one of my daughters is playing in a basketball tournament, so I'm there doing that, and so
you're just always busy.
I am, and early in my marriage, my wife we had a talk of like you're only allowed certain hobbies, and you pick up a new one, you're gonna have to lose one, and I didn't like it early, but I completely understand it now. Looking back, like that was probably the best thing she ever did. It's like you get to go gun hunting, muzzleloader hunting, and gigging. That's your 3. You don't get to pick up any more. So
that's funny. Speaking of other hobbies, noodling is one of them.
That is true. But that's a summertime thing, so it doesn't interfere with everything else. Right. But yeah, no.
That time of year it's so hot she probably don't want to get out of the house really. So,
and she doesn't ever like to go noodling. I took her once or twice when we first started. When we were together, and she was not a fan.
Oh yeah,
she's not.
I thought maybe she might like to go lay in the boat or something.
Well, she doesn't mind that.
Yeah,
but then it's like, hey, I need your help out here.
Yeah,
bring me a stringer.
Bring me a stringer.
Yeah, she's not a fan.
I'm trying to read my book, Henry.
Yeah.
It's
she's cutting your ear off.
She is deathly afraid of snakes, and so anytime that there's any chance, if you're even close to the bank, it's like I know there's a snake over there, and so I don't even try to talk her out.
So it's not fun for you to go either.
Yeah. So she likes gigging, but same thing. If I get under a tree or too close to the bank, it's like, hey, I know there's a snake over there. So we laugh about it all the time. But
did you tell her they're in the water too?
She knows that.
Okay.
There's been a few times where I'll take one and just kind of flip it out of the way. What was that? I said, oh, nothing.
Oh, nothing.
So she knows, but she's she likes doing all that stuff. She just sometimes the fear of snakes overrides the fun that she's having. So.
Yeah. What's your back to noodling? What is your biggest fish you've pulled?
We pulled a 70.
Golly,
dang.
Yeah. Mine's a 42.
Those are a different animal when they get up that big.
It is. And we've got not like me, but Steve Lane and I go together a lot, and and we've got a ton in the 50s, and several in the 60s, but that one in the 70s, I think he's got 1 or 2 since then, but that 70-pounder is just crazy. When that mouth is 6 or 7, when you can put both hands in there and you got room to move them side to side, you're onto a good fish. And it's. Noodling is not for everybody. I love taking people, and you find out real quick which ones it's for and which ones it's not.
Yeah.
And there's some that want to go really bad, but they can't hold their breath. They can't even hold it long enough to go down. They can't.
Or can't pop their ears. Or
can't. I mean, so sometimes I don't know if it chooses you or you choose it, but there's some people it's not for them. But
it is definitely not for everybody.
No, I don't know what it is, but I've always enjoyed noodling, and just I think once you get past the initial shock of what you're doing and what the potential that you could be doing, and it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I think taking people and seeing people, like I took a guy who was a world champion wrestler and an NCAA champion and one of the toughest guys we know, and you'd have thought that he was gearing up for the biggest fight of his life. I mean, he was so nervous, going down there and then feeling it and it biting him. And he's like, oh, my gosh. I'm like, you wrestled in the world championships and you're worried about catching a fish. You know, he's just
scared of this.
You don't understand.
30-pound fish. It's going to eat you.
Probably a 4-pound blue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I took a guy who played in the NFL, and you know, he's just nervous wreck, just going down there. I'm like, you ran down on the kickoff team for the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're worried about catching. You know, it's funny how putting people in a different situation where you're underwater, you can't see.
A lot of unknowns.
Yeah, there's so many. You know?
And you're in the fish's element for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, their 30-pound fish is or 200-pound guy or whatever. I mean, they're tough down there. Yeah. It's fun. It's there's nothing like it. I mean, when you feel that, man, it's a lot of fun. And like, I mean, I've been numerous times, obviously, but I noodled for years until I broke 40 pounds. I just didn't think I was ever going to do it. Yeah. I mean, 30s, 35. It was always, you know, just, man, maybe the next one, maybe the next hole, maybe the next hole. But I've never felt a 50 or 60 or 70 pounder, that's for sure.
No, I've never got a hold of a great big one like that.
Yeah.
Couple 40s, but seemed like we usually catch like a lot of 25, 30s.
Same with me. Yeah, 30s for sure. Yeah. Like I said, I think 42 or so was about my biggest right in there. I don't know exactly, but yeah.
I think the thing that we've found is the bigger their house, the bigger the fish that will inhabit it. And so, you know, when you're dealing with smaller holes, you're going to be capped at the 25, 30 range, which there's nothing wrong. I mean, I love catching 30-pound fish. I mean, they're fun and they're good fish and great eating.
Eat good, yeah.
But, you know, if you're going to get a big one, you got to find a hole that's big enough to hold where they can get in and turn around and, you know, kind of make it their home. So.
That's true, yeah. That's true for sure. You've been doing noodling for quite a while.
Yeah, I think some of my earliest memories are, you know, with my cousin Steve going down to low water and going down there, and we had several places we would noodle down there. And then the older we got, you know, started having boats and being able to go to Uchi and then going on to Grand and going to Hudson and going to Fort Gibson. And, you know, so there's a lot of good catfish in these areas right now.
For sure.
I went to Fort Gibson one time, and it's a pretty good sized lake.
It is.
There's a lot of stuff on it too. I mean,
it is.
A lot of ramps, and
it's kind of like Hudson in the way that if the water's not right, it doesn't do you good to be there. You know, like Hudson can be really good, or it can be 15 feet above. You know, and same with Fort Gibson, it can be really good, or it can get 15, 20 feet high. And it's just like, well,
it's not like Grand. They keep Grand within 5 or 6 feet or whatever.
Within reason.
Yeah. Fort Gibson is I've bow fished all over it. It is at least all there for sure. Yeah. There's so many just cuts and stuff and just. Which maybe probably like Grand. I just feel like I know Grand so well. It's just different. Maybe I don't know, but
yeah, I'm with you. Fort Gibson feels like there's so many little fingers you can get off in
everywhere.
We pretty much stayed up in a finger for all day. Never really got out.
Yeah, I mean they go for a long ways, and they're wide, and they got the other fingers off of them, and so I mean it's.
I bow fished, and I'm not going to tell you it was a cypress, but I bow fished Fort Gibson the first time I ever went. Actually, Laramie was with us. It was a little tournament before we really started getting into the tournaments. Shot with Matt Rush and his nephew, and we got up into a finger that we were just. I mean, we drove and drove and drove, and it was a numbers tournament. We were trying to find wheat gar, just where we could just shoot wheat gar all night long, and we got into like some cypress looking stuff, like standing timber. Or I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, like big rooted, bell bottom looking trees. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it was cypress. I don't know what trees are around there, or I don't know. I never saw anything like it. It looked like something you'd see in Louisiana. I mean, just right in the water. I mean, we bow fish all around them all night long. It was really cool. I mean, I'd have to look back and see exactly where that was. I just remember him taking us to it, and we were trying to kill a grass carp at the mouth of it and then go back in and kill a bunch of weed gar. And we wound up doing okay in the tournament. But, yeah, that was I'll never forget that. It was kind of – I think about that when I think of Fort Gibson a lot. Just it looked like cypress. I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know if they're cypress around there or not. I don't know what they're – maybe a different brand of cypress. But, anyways. I was trying to think of my next noodling question, but I guess kind of covered everything there. So we're going to get into what we were here to talk about, which is gigging. So first of all, this is definitely you guys' genre. I'm going to let you guys kind of have it. Gigging in general, if you will. Guys, tell us a little about what gigging is. For those that don't, obviously we all know. Probably most of our local guests or local viewers know, but tell us a little bit about gigging first of all, because the obvious first reason or first answer for gigging is it frogs? You always hear that, right?
Frog gigging?
Yeah.
Like, nope, we're gigging fish.
Yeah.
Basically, we're fish giggers. We take a 14 to 16 foot flat bottom boat out. It's got lights on the front. One guy, two guys up front gigging, 10, 12 foot pole. A guy in the back running the motor at nighttime, and we're gigging fish.
Rough fish.
Mainly suckers. Suckers are white bass for the most part. Gig them, go back to the bank, clean them, cook them, eat them.
Living life.
There's not a whole lot of things that's more fun than fish gigging. No. I mean, I've taken a ton of people. I mean, that football players when I was in college, and some big, stout stud athletes, and you put them on the front of a gigging boat, and they look like little girls. Like, don't even know how to remotely come close to being able to throw a gig the right way, falling in the water, and it's just it's a good thing.
A lot of hand-eye coordination.
Oh yeah, yep. A lot of people want to do it kind of more one-handed. Mm-hmm. It's more of just a fluid motion. You let go with the other hand, you catch it with one hand.
Right, aim with your lower hand. Yeah.
Yep. And I would say back in the early days, they started out with kind of stuff like this or like this, 2 prongs and spears, and we've kind of graduated on to 3 prongs.
Yeah, we've graduated a lot of things. I look back at a lot of the old stuff, and I don't know a lot before like the 50s, but in the 50s and 60s, there wasn't any trailers. Nobody used a trailer. Everybody used like a 12-foot boat that they could stick in the back of the truck, and they got there and they unloaded it, and they just had their little propane lantern on front, and they just pulled it around. I mean, there wasn't motors, there wasn't trailers. It was all either spears or 2 prongs, and I think about that sometimes. If those guys could see what it is now, it's like these spoiled guys.
They don't have a clue.
No idea. Well, I would love to. We have our gigging tournament here, but I think it would be so much fun to put them in a boat with a 2-prong and no motor, and let's just do it 1 hour. See what we can do with 2-prong and no motor in 1 hour. I think that would be a blast sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And those guys
maybe that's what we ought to do instead of the spearing tournament.
I think that would
just
be awesome.
Come down there, no motor, and let's get after it.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
That would
old school gigging tournament.
Yeah. Because like I said, I think the earliest article I have is from Outdoor Oklahoma back. I can't remember if it was. I think it's late 50s, early 60s. But it's funny because it's down at low water, and my mom. There's a lot of people in there that my mom knew and was around that same family and everything else, and so. To talk about those people, and she remembers the time. Oh, it was a big deal because the paper's coming down or the magazine's coming down to do this article, and it was so fun to see the pictures in there where they just basically spread out some stuff on the creek bank. They didn't have tables; they'd clean them right there, and then they'd have the fillets, and all the women and kids are scaling everything, and it's just like on the gravel. And then they turn it around. They got a big pot over the fire, and there's no propane, there's no nothing. It's just it was neat to see how many people were there. I mean,
community.
It was probably 40 or 50 people that were down there doing that. Just that, we're going to go kill some suckers, and
it was a big to do to go do that.
Yeah, it was.
We're spoiled. We got the boat hooked up, ready to roll. We jump in, we stop at the store, and we get a can of grease and some taters, and. We're down there in 20 minutes, and we're out.
Got the DeWalt light turned on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's gotten crazy.
Rough. Your ancestors are probably like, oh, you guys went to generators, huh? You just wanted more noise. Well, now you're at least back to LEDs, I guess. Because they're using propane. You can imagine how peaceful it probably was for them to go gigging.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk and no motor, no generator, that would be cool. We should do an old school tournament.
It would be sweet.
No generators allowed, no motors allowed, polling only. Yeah. Was there just 2 guys in those early days, I guess, too?
Well, yeah, because most of those boats, if you think about it, they were 12 or 14 foot. But
and
they
36 inches wide or 32 inches?
Yeah, they were the narrow ones.
Yeah.
And there was no sissy bars. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything, so you just had to stand up front, and the first and back, you had to trust them to be pretty smooth with the poling and not be wiggling around too much.
Be paying attention, not poling on the wrong side.
So Paul Graham and Don Miller, supposedly, I mean, I'm not saying they were the first, but of course they're both passed now, so it's my story. I'm going to tell how I know. When I bought my first aluminum boat, probably 2005 or 6, Jess and I were together. Anyways, Don Miller said, I know where aluminum boats at. I think you could probably get bought. I said, well, how much? He said, probably not very much. And I'll tell you what, I'll split it with you. I said, okay. So he takes me to Sonny Graham. Yeah, Sonny was her name. Paul, of course, had passed away since then. And he said, Sonny, we're here to look at that little green boat that's over there. Don't know if you want to sell it or not. She's like, well, I think I'd entertain that. I don't need it. You know, Paul's gone. And he said, well, Paul and I bought it together when we were young or younger. So anyways, Don says that it was probably one of the first aluminum boats down here. At the time, there was a boat that people just kind of borrowed or.
Yeah, I've heard that they would leave it down the lake.
Correct, down at the little tree there.
Tied up on the.
Yeah. So I guess Don and Paul pulled in to the Gigging Flats one night, and this thing was brand new and shiny, or maybe they just painted or whatever, and people were just like, "Oh my gosh!" So of course he don't tell me this part until we get there. You know, and I'm thinking I'm going to go buy a good little low 1448, and we pull up, and I'm like,
"Oh yeah,
oh, how much is she wanting for it?" He said, "I think 500 to buy it," and I was like, well, we're here, you know. And he's, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll split it with you. And I'm thinking, well, thank God, because I don't have much money. So I gather up $250 and I go pick it up and I put a little motor on it and I wanted to just make it a fishing boat because I figured out really quick that it was not going to be a cool gigging boat. It was super, but like you said, it was like 13.5 foot long and I think it was a 32-inch bottom in it.
Yeah.
And I put some carpet and like little wood in there, you know, put some plywood and wrapped it in carpet and I just went, you know, perch fishing out of it when I was a kid. So I was 15 or 16 years old probably. But anyways, that was my first boat. But it was just cool. That was my first boat was probably Delaware County's, or at least Jay's first aluminum boat.
Yeah, that's
and I think
cool.
that was, he told me the year one time, 51 maybe or something.
Really?
oh wow."
Does that sound about right? I don't know when that all would have been, but
It may have been. Yeah.
50, maybe 56. I can't remember on these. No one asked.
You know, you hear stories growing up, but I know they had wooden boats down there from time to time. My dad had a fiberglass boat for a long time, fiberglass flat bottom.
Oh, no kidding.
And they used that for, good gracious, up until probably 86 or 85 or 86. And then they got rid of it, you know, just because it wasn't very fast. It was heavy, you know, but it was a great boat. It was easy to patch holes in.
I was going to say, I wonder how many holes they patched in that thing.
Yeah, well, I could tell you how many because on the side of it said Missile Charter. That was the name of the boat.
Yeah.
If that tells you anything about how many holes were probably in that boat. So, they enjoyed that. And the funny story about that is because that was my dad. You know, we didn't get into that, but my dad played in the NFL and broke his leg real bad for the Vikings in like 74, 73, 74, somewhere in that range. I don't know exactly what year. But whenever that happened, he still wanted to go gigging. And, I mean, he came back here a lot and hung out with his friend Matt, and they went gigging. But he couldn't stand up there very good with that cast on his leg. And so Matt, according to Matt, this is my godfather, he built like one of the first welded pipe sissy bars up there so he could stand up front. And everybody thought it was the neatest thing because now you had something to lean on. You know, you didn't break your lights quite as bad. You know, they said, they were all propane. So if you could still break them pretty bad. But
so I'm assuming that's probably where it started. Like, you sissy, you need that.
It makes sense.
Yeah, because we call them sissy bars for those that don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you look back at some of the really old pictures in the 70s. I say old in the 70s with them, and there's people that are like taking porch railings, and cut them up and bolted them together, and so now they're using those, as racks to stand up front. And so it's neat to look back and see how it has evolved and how it's continued to evolve as we go forward. So
yeah, because I remember asking Don, like, how did you guys mount the sissy bars to it? He said, we didn't use sissy bars. I mean, he thought that was kind of funny. We just had a lantern, and I don't know, it may have been 60s or whatever. It was obviously a long time ago, but in his mind, and Don was born and raised around here. I mean, he said him and Paul were the first ones to have an aluminum boat. I don't know if that's a true story, but it's kind of cool. Ron Miller now has the boat because that was the whole reason Don wanted to split it. He's like, when you're done with it, I'll give you he actually said, when you're done with it, I'll give you your $250 back. So you've invested now, and I'll pay you back later, and I'm going to give it to Ron. So they keep it on their pond. It's kind of a little.
That's cool.
He's JB welded it to death. I mean, there's little holes in it and stuff, but it's a cool little green boat. So anyways, kind of neat. But yeah, so we've watched or I haven't personally, as far as not being old enough, and you guys haven't either, but as far as like lights, they've came from lanterns to kind of walk us through the light phase.
Probably one of the earlier one than lanterns would be the pine knots.
Yeah,
and wire basket.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
I didn't even know about this.
That's going back a long time.
That's going long time.
That was kind of like they always said that was with the canoes, because you would put, or even flatboats, but you would put a little bit of water in the bottom of the boat, put your basket, and I've seen like actual pictures of them, where it's a nice basket, and they just put all those pine knots in it, light it on fire, and it put off enough light where they could, see it was up, I think probably about 6 feet up in the air, but they could see, all around the boat, and they could gig. Of course, you get up in the riffles, where how those suckers are when they're up in the riffles and they're thick. You don't need a ton of light to see what you're doing. Yeah. And but they would gig them that way, and so that I couldn't imagine being in a boat, with a fire right here behind you and seeing that many fish. Of course, I'm sure you're going. I don't know what year that would have been, but it's going back a ways.
Long time.
But I think that's how it started, obviously.
And before that was probably just daytime with Indians.
I would think so. I would think so.
Full moon tonight, boys. Just kidding.
But and then from there, like I said, they went to lanterns, and it started out with just kind of putting some actual lanterns up front, and then they, like I said, the evolution, they started getting fancy. They would, route some pipe from the back, put their propane tank in the back, and route it up front, and have several globes up there, and use like a reflector too, right? Well, when they first started, they were just up there. And they would put like tin foil behind them, to kind of cup them behind the globe, and that way it would push the light up front a little bit more. But then as they got evolved, they would, have the metal behind the stainless steel, or aluminum, whatever, to kind of reflect it.
Yeah. A lot of road signs got stolen, I would say, because I've seen a few rigs like that. They might say "stop" on the back, or
yield.
Delaware County.
Yeah.
My neighbor has a boat still in his yard. I would say this is probably the next evolution part, or next evolving part of it. He has a stainless steel or aluminum, like you said, like a ricocheted shield behind it, and it's got 3 screw-in like 75-watt bulbs.
Yeah,
like
so that was actually, from what I remember, that was like the step after. So they went from like lanterns to like rigged up lantern systems, and then they went to like backup lights. There was people, like we had one forever. Is what I grew up gigging on. It was probably like 10 or 12, like just those bright white LED, not LED, bright white, just backup lights like you would put in your truck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Single filament, they would run them like that, run them off batteries. And then they started getting 12-volt light bulbs, like you're talking about, where you screw a big light bulb in. And then that kind of went from that to then the generators came
into like I'm talking about it was like a porcelain socket too.
Yes.
Is that the same thing? Okay, yeah.
So it went from like backup lights to the regular light bulbs, 12-volt light bulbs, and then the generators came in.
Okay.
And even when the generators first came in, they were still just running regular lights, just light bulbs.
Like house lights.
Yeah, just like house lights. And some of them would put like, jars over the top and do stuff like that, which they figured out pretty quick didn't work great when water got splashed up on them.
Right.
They were pretty hot. But then it went from that to the halogens. And then we stayed with halogens forever. And
long time before we switched over to LEDs and batteries.
Yeah.
Or LEDs and generators.
Halogens were probably a good 20-year run, probably.
I want to say most of them switched, if my memory serves me right, probably in the early 90s is when they switched from like the light bulbs to, or maybe even late 80s, to right around 1990 from light bulbs to halogens.
Yeah.
And so, and it was that way, good gracious, for a long time. And some people still run them,
Oh, yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong with them. They just require a little bit more voltage, or a little more wattage.
Have you switched over to LED?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were still on the halogen train for quite some time.
I'm cheap. I don't know, just by nature, but it's like they work, and they work great. And it's like, I get it that the LEDs are better in a lot of ways, but I hate to get rid of something that still works.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was, and so, but no, I did, with the help of Chaz here, I did some welding for him one day, and he said, I got these lights, and I'm probably never going to use them, and they were wires were cut off, and some of the screws were missing, but they all work, and then so we just kind of cleaned them up and repainted them, but no, there's some nice sea lights, and they work just fine. So
probably the ones that I started out with.
No. I actually took them in on trade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's how I come up with them. I had, was it 270s and 200s?
They were on that boat out front for a long time.
Yeah, I think I bought them off Laramie. We done some I don't remember, some three-way trade or something on it. Yeah. And he had some stuff, and I was going to put them on, I think, my boat. I think that's why I bought them off Laramie initially. I don't know.
You went brand new.
Yeah, I think I went brand new or however it worked, and I had them in my garage, and I thought, well, I'll just use them in my shop. And I thought, I got a guy that needs these things, so I'll by golly, I'll take a little credit for just a minute. This is my podcast. No, so I actually was bow fishing that was kind of my deal. I mean, I wasn't real good at gigging like you guys are. I'm no green country national gigging champions like you guys are. I'm just a Uchi champion when it comes to bow fishing. But anyways, I wanted to go more lights on my bow fishing boat. A lot of the airboats were running 12-volt LEDs off of the actual LS1 Corvette motors and stuff, just like you would do headlights or anything. And so I looked into that, found a pair of cheap LEDs because I was being a tightwad, found out really quick that it's not about the chip, it's about the driver. So kind of geeked out on some LEDs, found a company called Sea Light, who is actually built and founded by bow fishermen. I've found some used on probably before Facebook Marketplace. It was probably Craigslist. What year was this, Chance?
I believe it was
15, 14?
2014.
14? So, yeah, that's probably right. 2014. Yep, I think you're exactly right. I bought 15 LED Sea Light 50 watts True Warms, which were the halogen color.
Is that what they were 50s?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I needed 12 for my boat, and I was going to put kickers on the back and do one on each side just for a pickup. If you ever lose a fish, someone can snap a shot real quick. So I had my 12 on, and I took my boat down to Lake Uchi one night. We're just going to go gigging, and there was a Summerfields there. I think Doug Posoak and Chance and a couple other guys maybe. And, of course, immediately like, boy, you need all them lights.
A spaceship.
Yeah, UFO, blah, blah, blah. And I heard it all. And so I pulled back over the bank, which it's Chance had been with me a couple times before that. But I pulled back over the bank, and I think you might even been going boat fishing with me, I think. And we picked, or maybe you jumped in.
I think I had my boat down there.
Okay.
Because I pulled it up beside it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
We did a little comparison.
Yeah, and then I remember
that's kind of what really
Jeremiah,
got me sold on it.
Bacon and Doug both jumped in my boat. Well, they're kind of looking at each other like, hang on a second. This is actually really bright.
I remember that. I don't know if you guys remember when Doug and I were gigging. We pulled up next to you
Yeah.
guys, but I saw you like over by Dry Creek that night, and I remember sitting there going, "What in the world is going on over there?" I mean, it was
and of
just
course,
glowing the whole,
looked like a football stadium out in the water.
And then you get the feedback like, well, it's just because he has 12 of them. So I had 3 extra lights, and that night, Chance followed me back to the shop. I gave him those 3 lights, and I said, hey, take these and try them. I mean, I think we're on to something. I mean, and I knew this was for bow fishing, but he's like, I don't know if it'll be enough to gig. He's like, man, I'm shooting 10 yards. I mean, you guys are gigging 3 foot. Yeah. So anyways, he put them on, and
that's when my brain went to working on how to rig them up off a battery.
Right. So because you could buy at the time, Sea Light made 12 volt and 110. So I only had 110s because I was running a generator. Because I wanted to not be on a battery limit. I wanted to be able to shoot 12-hour tournaments, put gas in the generator, keep rolling, which is why I went 110. But that was the only thing we were trying to figure out how to get away from a generator, because everybody had generators because of halogen. But my goal was to, with Chance, like, hey, dude, we could be the godfather of this little deal. Like this is the next step past halogen. And Chance rigged up an inverter.
Yep. You gave me the Caleb from Sea Light.
Yep.
You gave me his phone number. I called him, texted him, asked him what size wire to run. I'd heard of these inverters, and I was like, this is all new for me. Like, I'm not an electrician for one, so I don't really know what I'm doing.
Because there's converters and inverters, 2 different things. That's what I understand, right?
I don't know.
And one goes one way and one goes. I'm
still. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I got pointed in the direction of an inverter. You plug a 110 into an inverter that's hooked up to a battery, and it converts it to 12 volt. Mm-hmm. Caleb told me the wire size I need to run. Got that. Wired them all up. Flipped the lights on. Nothing blew up. Let's go gigging. And me and TJ went, and it was quiet. I didn't have to turn around to talk to him, and it was bright, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is it.
Yeah. And, it's funny you say text Caleb. That's how this company started. Like, you could text Caleb Jones. Is that his name? Caleb Jones. Yeah. Caleb Jones. You could just be like, hey, Caleb, got a question. Oh, yeah, man. When I get to my shop tomorrow, and his shop was like a shop. I mean, he's building lights, and him and a buddy. And now this company is ginormous. But I would say, I mean, without my just going out on a limb and thinking, I'm going to see if this works. I'm sure everybody else, because actually at the time, people were running on bow fishing boats even. They were either running halogens, high-pressure sodiums, or metal halides. Nobody did LEDs, besides airboat guys down in Louisiana and Florida, because the water was better there. So I just went out on a limb and thought, yeah, what the heck? So here we are. And then it's funny now, people are like, you ever heard of Sea Lights? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, Chaz was the first one around here with the set of Sea Lights.
Yeah, and I was actually going to try to become a dealer of it, and just didn't have the time, or I didn't have a store. And Nate was getting ready to get set up. He's like, man, you let me know. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I said, man, just go get it, buddy. So he called Sea Light, became a dealer, and they have spread and now I don't know if there's a boat around here that doesn't have Sea Lights, really. I mean, I'd say they're probably 90%. Would you say 95%?
Or some form of LED.
Yeah, or some kind of LED, yeah, not just Sea Light, but yeah, just.
And not everybody runs them off a battery.
Right. Some people still run generators. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is you can run a Honda 1000 and it just idles.
It just purrs. Doesn't bog it down.
Right.
It's not burning a lot of fuel.
Right. Used to, we were running Honda 2000s on like 500 watt, halogens. So now we're running 100 watts or 150 watts or maybe 200 or 300 watts of light on a 1000 that's just idling. So, yeah. So, and then I have both of my boats, so we'll go gig, and I keep a Honda 1000 there just in case we get in a sand bass or something, and battery goes dead, I can just start the generator up and keep on rolling. So Max and I like it. But it's nice for him to learn how to gig, and I can be like talking to him, not over a loud noise. And we all remember growing up getting yelled at and stuff. And
and everybody on the bank hearing what your dad was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I have those vivid memories. I remember, like, my dad would always take me with his friends and everything else, but I remember it vividly of, like, I brought you to drive the boat. I didn't bring you to gig. And it's like, okay. It was that way my whole life. It was like, if I go with my dad, I don't get to gig. I get to drive the boat.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it. At least I got to go, you know.
Yeah.
And
just to get to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And
do you mind telling Max this at church Sunday? I haven't got to gig in forever.
I tell my daughters all the time, like, you don't realize how lucky you are.
Right.
And so we would always talk about it. If I wanted to gig, I had to wait till they were done. Then he'd let me take the boat up by myself, and I'd go up the creek, float it back down, gig all I wanted. That was how I gigged. But when I got old enough to start driving, then obviously I could take somebody and I could go gigging a lot. And it just, I don't know. Maybe that's why I like it so much, because I didn't get to do it forever. I just got to be a part of it. But I don't know. It was fun. I always think about that is how all his friends, it never was, why'd your kid come or anything else. It was just like it was part of it.
You're just part of the
That's
group.
how it is.
Yeah.
He's coming.
Yeah. Laramie said something one time I thought was pretty cool, and both of us agreed on it. He's just probably the first one to say it, but he said after they had Larry, him and Amy had gotten to a point in life, not just gigging, just anything. Like, if she can't come, we're not either. And I think that's really, that's how it should be. If my kids aren't welcome, then, obviously there's times you need date nights and stuff. I'm not saying that. But, if Max
going to functions or anything.
Dude, Max is going to go with me. He loves hanging out. It's like your daughter said, we've got 743 days left, Dad. You're going to be at all of them. Come on. Yeah, that's cool. But, yeah, I want to tell Max that probably tomorrow or maybe tonight if I get home. Hey, just to let you know, Henry always used to have to drive, so your new job.
I'm telling you, I bet I can remember on one hand how many times I actually got to gig growing up. Max, it's crazy.
He'll say, Dad, you want to go gig? I'm like, no, I want to go driving. You're going to get the gig. I don't get the gig anymore. But no,
so I grew up in the middle seat. Yeah. My dad driving, Robin gigging.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're learning a lot.
I could not wait to get up there, to sit there and watch Robin gig. I'm like, we got like 15 fish. Surely it's going to be my turn. And then it's, cold, and they're wanting to get back. And, all right, get up here. And they're got about half throttle. So I kind of learned to gig about half throttle.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it was good.
Yeah. I'm sure I know your dad. I'm sure you had plenty of plenty of spoiled nights, too.
Oh, yeah. He still talks about this one year. Jay was god-awful at football. They went like 0-10 or something. We went to the first football game, got stomped by somebody, and he said I was 5 or 6. He's like, we went gigging every Friday after that for the rest of the year instead of going to football games. So he would take me on those nights.
That's funny. Henry, we've talked about just the general history of gigging and how it's evolved, just as lights. We can talk about how the boats have evolved. They went from, wood to fiberglass to aluminum to riveted to all welds. You're probably one of the first guys having all weld, I bet.
I think I was.
Yeah, probably.
I remember thinking, because Henry never had reverse, I don't think, in his truck. No, I'm teasing. He'd always just leave his truck parked there. Everybody get over here and let's load this boat up.
Yeah.
And what that means, your boat's against the bank, and we all grab a hold of it and just pull it to the trailer and sit it back in the trailer. I think it was his way of seeing these J-boys are still tough around here.
Yeah.
But he had the heaviest.
Several of us.
He had the heaviest boat. I've helped since I was 12 years old. I want to help Henry load his boat. He's my hero. And his boat was god awful heavy compared to everybody else. So
yeah, when I first got my teaching job, I kind of got my truck kind of squared away, and then the next thing I was going to do is I'm going to buy a new gigging boat, because the one I'd had was a a 77 Landau 1546, and it was just like that thing. You could gig an hour, and then you got to pull it to the bank and
Scoop
drain
water.
it. Oh my gosh, it leaks so bad. I mean, we tried everything to fix it, but it leaked horribly. And but we got rid of that, and I don't want to say it's 01 or 02 when I bought that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's about 12, yeah.
And, you know, it was kind of one of those deals like, I want something that's not going to leak. It's not going to, you know, get loose with the rivets and everything else. And I want to, like, this would be the last boat I may buy.
And you're not a 120-pound guy either, so, I mean, you want
I wanted a heavy boat. I
for
want
sure.
something, you know, that's going to take care of it. And so we got that. And like I said, you know, people, that thing's too big, too heavy.
Is it an all-weld or a Lumicraft?
It's an all-weld.
All-weld,
It's
yeah.
no, it's a Express.
Express, that's right, yeah. Sorry.
But no, it is heavy. But it's a 1546, and I mean it runs just fine. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
same
still-
boat you still have.
Same boat I still have today. Yeah.
It's a good-looking boat, too.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Like I said, I've welded holes in the bottom from when we've jammed gigs in there, you know, not meaning to, and I've knocked out dents from the tournament and from logs, and
And my, has it carried some weight?
it has carried some weight. Yes,
Yeah.
it has. But no, it's been a great boat, and you know, I'm sure if I wanted to get another mile per hour, I probably need to get another boat. But it's for what I do, it works just fine.
A to B, doesn't it?
That's right.
So we've watched the boats evolve, the lights evolve, and motors, obviously, is the – I don't know.
yeah.
I personally – I mean, I kind of think LEDs at the top. I'm sure something will come out later. I don't know how we can top what motors we're at right now. I can't see it. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm sure guys thought that when they had no reverse and they turned the motor around backwards, you know. You remember those motors?
Yeah.
That was my first motor.
I'd say the trim was probably one of the biggest game changers.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because that's getting you up the creek in shallower water, getting the prop up.
Yeah,
Just trying to reiterate what that is to people.
Days of getting out of the boat and dragging up a riffle. I mean, if you have the right motor, the right boat, and a trim, I mean,
Lot more-
you don't have to get out.
A lot more dry shoes
I mean,
nowadays.
some places
Yeah.
where it's super shallow, but
Yeah, a lot more
for
dry
the most
feet.
part.
Yeah, the motors have come a long way, and that's kind of like with everything else. I remember I was at the prop shop there in Grove one time, and kind of, you know, I need a prop, tournaments getting ready to come up, and he was like, I don't have anything here, and I said, what's that one fit? Because it looked like the right one. And he said, well, that's a stainless one, and I said, well, will it fit? And he said, yeah, it's a soulless, whatever, 9-pitch. And I was like, I'll take it, I'll try it. But I'd heard people say, you know, you don't want that. It's going to roll your lower unit
tear your lower up.
you know, bend your shaft and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't hit that much stuff anyway. You know, I'll try it. So I took it, and, you know, of course, people like anything new down there, people are going, oh, what are you doing?
That's
Like
so
sea
dumb.
lights. I was the biggest idiot in the world when I pulled up down there, I
Yeah.
promise.
It's just like that gig right there. When we brought that to the tournament, everybody's like, these
that?
idiots, what are they thinking? You know, but you know, with that stainless prop, we ran it up the creek a couple times, and I'm like, look at this thing. It's just got scratches on it. It
Right.
hardly has any deflection at all. You know,
Couple
meanwhile,
little tiny
Blaine and
motors.
Levi would run up there and come back with a ball. You know, like switching props every. And I'm just like, I don't know how it works in the long run, but boy, it's nice not having to mess with it. You know,
Yeah.
So,
Now you don't see an aluminum prop.
no, you can't with the way they run these motors up the creek now.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the evolution of the motors, you know, it's been crazy. But it's
The entire thing really has evolved. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
every part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, even scoring machines. I mean, like,
yeah.
we're not even hardly scoring our own fish anymore. They just got a machine for it. It's cool. I mean, it really is neat. I'm sure, like you said, the ancestors jumping the boat, they'd probably just be dying laughing. A bunch of idiots, a bunch of wimps.
Potato slicers, scoring machines, portable LED lights so you can
I'm
see.
telling you.
yeah,
Same old barrel, same old grease, though, huh?
That's right.
And like I said, I'm just on that edge of old enough where it's like part of me misses some of those things, but some of it, I like the convenience too of a lot of the things we're doing now too.
Yeah.
So I see both sides, but you know, there's part of you that's like, man, that was I know we'll never get back to that, but that was a neat time to be a part of.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, because I think it's cool. Like we already said before, I say on record here, we ought to just make it something that we try to just put on at least once a year, maybe once every couple of years, an actual just old school, and just put limits on it. Like, man, we can't have propane down here tonight. I mean, I don't know, it'd be kind of cool just to go back to the old days. It'd be kind of neat, really, polling only.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a good thing to replace the spirit tournament with. Not replace, just maybe every other year or something, do something cool. That'd be neat.
It would.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be it'd give you definitely more of appreciation for what you have.
Respect, for sure.
And I think a lot of people would love it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'd have to almost kind of move it to a little bit shallower starting point, depending on what's going on. But if not, I mean, that's part of it too,
Yep.
see where you're at and see what you can
I
do.
think we should run with this. That's a cool idea.
Hopefully you don't get too far away from the bank. We're not coming to get you. We don't have any motors.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it would be fun.
We could have one guy down there for just rescue missions. And that's it. Wait, what do you do when you break your pole when you're poling?
That's the deal.
You better have some extras.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think back then too, there was only two. I mean, just like that. And, gigs handles back then, man, they were not easy to find. You had to make them.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure there was one or two people that made them, but I mean, nobody had $30, $40 back then to spend on stuff. So I don't know what a gig would cost back then. I'm sure it wasn't very much, but there's also not a whole lot of people that made them. So.
Chance briefly talked about it, but just the evolution of gigs. Like we said, we picked out this one just because it's neat. It's a long spear. Not all spears are this long, and most of them obviously have a bigger ferrule. But started out with, if you're watching the spear, which is just one shank and one prong. Then went to two prong, and most of these at the time were obviously pre-welders, pre-cutting torches, obviously. So these are all forged, hand forged. And they're hammering these out, folding them back, hammering them out, folding them back.
I'm sure they had torches, but I mean those were all just forged.
Okay, maybe torches. Sorry, I thought maybe even before that, but
generally started as one piece of steel.
Yeah, just like a buggy spring or a car spring,
cut out and draw it out and hammered back over.
Do you know what year would have kind of been the genre of two prong? I mean, just kind of roughly, just.
I know just from the stuff that I've seen and what I know, pretty much anything. Late 60s and earlier was pretty much all two prongs.
Okay, and then we'd have went, and this is just something we grabbed because it's just funny kind of. But
yeah. Well, and there was a lot of those too, up in Missouri and stuff like that. I think there was more three prongs in that area.
Would you say this was like late 60s on?
I would guess so. Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Because it's still a forged, I'm assuming, right?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them started as like a pitchfork. There's a lot of gigs that started as a pitchfork, and then they were able to forge it and draw it out, and start there. I mean, that was a good starting point. So,
and then we went into like a little bit better looking, I guess you could say, three prong gigs.
Yeah.
Who was just briefly and just for fun, name some of those first guys. I mean, like Clarence and all these guys. I mean, some of those first guys that were building three prong gigs that still hold the look of what you're building and people are building today.
Yeah, I think Bill Sisson and Clarence Scroggins come to my mind of the first two really that built a good looking gig that stayed good, that was held up well, with rocks and everything else, and Hubert Dick had one on there too.
Tom Botts.
But
he'd been later though.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit later.
And and back to real quick, back to the two prong. Chance, hold it up. That would have been like a totem hair type of. Era.
Totem hair. Clarence Scroggins made those two.
Sorry, and Clarence, yeah.
But
then Clarence would have went into. So Clarence kind of went from 2 to 3. He may have been like the bridger of that kind of.
He very well could have been. Yeah. I know he made gigs for a long time. When he started, I don't know, but I know he made those three prongs and made really good gigs all the way up, into the early '90s, maybe even the mid '90s. But that's kind of when. I don't know how old he was, but those the ones that he made there toward the end, like in the early to mid '90s, they weren't bad, but some of the welds weren't quite the same as what they'd been in the past, and so some of them would break, and some of the tempers were a little off, and so some of the
might be a little crooked.
Yeah, it'd be a little off, But I mean, like I said, the guy was getting up there in years and still be making gigs is very impressive anyway. Yeah. But he made some awesome gigs. He was kind of the standard around here for a long time. Mm-hmm. I know. Bill Sisson made some awesome gigs, but the stories I hear about him was he was pretty particular on who he sold them to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not everybody got one of his gigs.
Yeah.
You couldn't just like, hey, make me a gig. He either made it and gave it to you, or you ask him nicely and he might get you one. It's interesting to hear how. Oh yeah. Not that he was partial to anybody, but just there were certain people he wasn't going to make you one.
Yeah.
And I heard several people say, hey, can you? Nope, not going to do it. Just that he'd ask him 50 times, and every time the answer was no, we're not going to make you one.
He was kind of the guy who drove around down at the lake, found a fire. Oh, there's Henry and whoever gigging. Yeah. Pull over there. He had a truck full of cooking stuff, and he'd pull in there and cook for whoever. Yeah. He'd find my dad and Robin. Pull in there
before my time for sure.
Have all of his cooking stuff, and he'd settle in down there.
I'm actually sitting here looking at this board. So Henry and Greg Wilson made a shadow box, if you will.
That was for the Centennial. The J Centennial, they asked us to do something with gigging and the gigging
It's
tournament.
super cool.
And so I talked to Greg, and because I knew he worked with wood, so I had a ton of gigs that my dad had and I'd collected and everything else. And Joe Hutchison, the game warden Joe Hutchison, I guess he just passed too. I just heard that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Just
that.
had his funeral
I
this
believe
week.
they had his funeral on Monday or
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, but he gave me his collection too, and so we made this one kind of all my stuff, and then we made one for Joe's, and Joe's is actually still in the museum over there, and so that's the one that we made for him. But yeah, it's kind of neat to look at all those, and
yeah, because as I was going around, of course, I'll just go from the older ones, not to get to you yet, but Tom Botts, Bill Sism, Clarence Scroggins, Hubert Dick, and what I noticed when I was looking at Lewis Rutherford is his barbs are on the outside. Like a two barb, a two barb, or two prong. Sorry. Yeah, I'd actually never have really stopped notice that, and then he kind of went a little bit more bizarre. The next gig up, the three, I don't know what you want to call that,
like a shotgun gig.
Yeah. And that's that. He kind of had a different mindset on a gig. Didn't he?
I was telling Chance, 'cause Louis worked. He was like the welder for the county, for Delaware County District 2, for the county commissioner, and so my dad was the county commissioner for a couple terms. I don't know how many years that is, 6 or 8, and so being the welder, my dad he had all kinds of ideas, but he wasn't a welder, and so we had a welder at the house, but nobody was allowed to use it. I don't know if he didn't know how to use it, or
he might shock you.
So I think that became my fascination with welding. It's like, I'm not allowed to touch it, but I really want to. And so as I got older, I could do whatever I wanted.
Right.
But he would take stuff to Louis and say, here's what I'm thinking. Can we make one like this? And so
these are your dad's ideas.
Well, I don't know if it was his idea to turn the barbs that way, or if that was easy for Louis to do it that way. I don't know. Right. But on the triangle one, that was Dad's idea of because he had it drawn up. I want to do it like this, and so he made probably, I guess 6 or 8 of them. And but the middle one of the prongs would always break off because of how he had to make them, where he'd weld them together like that. And that's why I've made several throughout the years where I made them in different ways where they're not going to break, but they're they're a neat gig, but they're not my favorite gig.
Do they hold fish too good?
Not so much that they hold it too good.
I thought maybe it'd be hard to get off of
because the print is so small that if you get a big fish, it's hard to punch a hole in them because all three are right there at the same time.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of what I've learned as the years go on, is like you don't want them all hitting them right at the same time, because sometimes if they're heavy scales, it's not going to puncture them very good.
I was sitting there looking at it, trying to take a big old sand bass off of it, and I thought, boy, that looks like that wouldn't be very fun. It's a neat design, though. I've actually never even paid attention. I've saw this before, and I probably just never really just locked in on that and noticed it. But anyway, so then you go up and you see Jesse Webb, and then back over to the top right is John Henry Ward, which I didn't start with because we're getting to him. We're building up this picture. So Jesse, those were like he was at was he like Votech or something at the time? Yeah, I was trying to think what that was. Yeah.
And so he was kind of where he had made gigs for a while, and through the 90s there, and taught a class on it and everything else out at Votech. But he kind of got to where he was doing different stuff and getting too busy to where it's like, I'm going to make some, but I'm not going to make very many, right. And it's kind of tough to get them. And so that's kind of what got me involved with it. And Jesse was super helpful. Anything I ever asked of him, he was willing to show me. I even just drove over to his house one night just because I was, like I said, whatever the whole thing that started with me making them. When I lost to Clarence down at Elk River, and it was just like, now all I got left is I got a couple old Clarences that are just wore down so far that the barbs are right at the end of it. Chance has had several like that he's brought back to me. but I don't know how old some of them were, but I'd had them my whole entire life, and I'd seen Dad gig with them, so we were kind of like, we needed a gig. And so, just it was hard to find them. And if he wasn't making them or he'd sold out, like, you just were out of luck. There wasn't anybody to sell them. Clarence had quit making them or passed away at that time. Bill had passed away. Tom, was over in Colcord, and I didn't really know him. And so it was just kind of like it was tough to find a gig, period. And nobody wanted to let go of them because they knew how hard they were to find.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I thought, it just kind of back up. You see the big gig there. So Steve and I.
Oh, and I skipped that. Sorry, I was going around. I was going to come back to that, talk about carp gigging. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so Steve, I watched him make that and kind of helped him make it. And that was in 95. And, kind of watching somebody do it. And you're like, I think I can do that. Like, I know I can weld a little bit. I know I can cut stuff. And so I just got to figure out the temper and just kind of, how to do things. And so it kind of started as like I made the whole head of it and put the barbs on and everything else. But then I didn't know what to do after that. So that's when I drove over to Jesse's house. I said, hey, I hate to bother you, but I've got this. But I don't know how to make the top part and how to, what. So he set me down and we went through it and he showed me how to cut it out and how to roll it and kind of get it shaped the way we want it and how to put it on, weld it up. And I've changed a few things the way he did it, but for the most part, it's exactly how he showed me.
Yeah.
And, once I figured out how to roll it and put the ferrule on, it was game on. It was like, all right, now I'm going to start making them. And, it's like anything else. You make one and you're like, I think it's going to work. And you'd go out and try it. But nobody, at the time, I think that first one took me like 4 hours to make. Mm-hmm. And you start looking at it and you're like, gigs, where Jesse had his cut out, like a plasma, and he was cutting the barbs out and he wasn't, and just light grinding stuff, and they worked great. But it was like, he was making them really quick. And I think he was charging like $40-$50 a gig. And I'm like,
you're making $10 an hour.
I am not going to do all this work for $10 an hour, So like I need, but I knew if I was ever going to get into it, I was going to have to sell them cheap until get some people to buy them.
Right.
And so the first couple of gigs I sold, I think sold them for $40 and it took me 4 hours to make.
You have any more of those $40 gigs left?
I do not.
I'll buy all you got.
No kidding. Just back that semi up right
yeah,
here.
so I sold a few of those, and I remember Greg Wilson, he kind of saw it, and he liked it, and he's like, can you make one like this? And he brought me an old Clarence. It was an old one. It was rounded and everything else. And I said, well, I can sure try. And so I took it home, and I think that one took me like 5 hours to make. And I told him, I said, Greg, I hate to do this to you, but like, I really need at least $60 out of this to feel like it's like I'm worth my time. And he said, yeah. So he gave me $60 and went out and tried it. And he came back and won the tournament with it that year. And he came back and he said, I need 3 more just like that. I said, they won't be $60. I promise you that. And so that's kind of where it started. But, you get 1 or 2 and you do it, like, I don't know if I was just lucky or, Jesse showed me how he tempered them and stuff. And I did it very similar, certain things I couldn't do because he had tools I didn't have. But, you get you figure out what works and you just kind of stay with it and just kind of make little adjustments here and there. But I think that's kind of what's different with a lot of my gigs and other people's, that I'll make one, and unless I know it's going to be good, and I'll go out and and test either the design or use the metal or whatever. Like, I'm not going to sell them. I'm not going to sell something I know is not going to work.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So
what you might have said there? What year did you start making gigs?
So
as far as for production,
Steve made that in '95. I think I made my first one like in '96 or '97. No, I was still in college, so it'd be '97 or '98. So that was when I made like my first one.
And that actually, you said that was your first one earlier?
That was the very first one I made.
Wow.
But like I said, I didn't make very many in the early years. I just made, one there to try, and I wasn't going to sell it until I knew for sure it was going to work. Like,
right.
I wasn't just going to make it, be like, hey, if I buy some
here
gigs.
you go.
Yeah, and so I used that one for a couple of years, and, knew that it would hold up and knew that it was good metal. And it's like, all right, I'll start making these for a few other people. So I think I really started selling them like in '99, 2000 was like the first couple that I sold. And it went from like selling 3 or 4 to selling 8 or 10 to selling 40 or 50, and just kind of grew from there.
And do you mind saying how many you've sold now?
I don't know how many I've sold, but how many I've made, because I've given a lot of them away and donate some and things like that. But it's somewhere 970, 980, something like that. Wow. So
and you kind of actually keep a pretty good logbook on that.
I try to.
Yeah, you kind of want to know where these gigs went and who gifted them or whatever. Yeah.
I wish I could go back and serial number all of them. That's what I wish I could have done.
That'd be cool.
And I thought about doing it, but I was like,
hey, start at 1,000. That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know if I'm going to get past much of 1,000.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Come on.
Yeah, he is. He's lying to you guys.
Time is the thing that I fight more than anything else right now.
Well, I need 10 of them.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was thinking the other day, I was like, how fun would it be? Because like I enjoy making them, but sometimes when you're looking at a list and you've got 20 of them to make, you're like, this isn't as fun as it used to be, But if you could just kind of have the freedom to make one however you want to make it, and then, kind of like whether it's a little different or maybe it's chrome plated or whatever, and then you're just kind of like selling like, certain number per year, but I think that would be fun to do. So
were you the first one to braid the whatever you call this part, not the ferrule, but the
that on the wire gigs?
Yeah,
I think so. I just kind of one of those things as you're playing around making stuff, you're like, I think I can do that.
They're cool.
Yeah,
they're really cool.
They are neat looking.
So for those of you guys who are watching, there's little up close picture or view of John Henry Ward II JH2s. Anybody knows that logo around here? That's the gig in our area, I would say. I remember as a kid, being 12 or 13 years old and seeing those gigs at the the tournament or whatever, just walk around looking at boats. And man, those things are so pretty. I always thought they just look good. It just always, and they always kind of had that that tempered blue look and just clean.
I appreciate
and balanced. Some of them weren't so balanced back in the day. Some of them started leaning a little bit. But yeah, it's cool to kind of see the whole evolution of gigging, if you will.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those things where there's no glory in it. There's no it's not like you're going to get rich off of it or anything like that. It's just I think it's fun to make, and I think in some ways I did it just to kind of bridge that gap of somebody needs to be able to make some gigs around here. And once I kind of learned, it's like I don't mind. I would love to be able to pass it on to somebody else, here soon. Just be like, I'm not going to make them anymore, but here's how I made mine, and you're welcome to make them the exact same way.
Yeah.
But it's like anything else. It takes time. It takes a little bit of want to, and a lot of times people don't want to go and learn how to do that. They just rather go buy one. So I get it, but it's been a skill that has led me, to a lot of things that I never thought I'd be able to do as far as welding and being able to work with metal and things like that. So I'm glad I did it.
And you now have had for a while a website. Mm-hmm. And you've had an opportunity. We were talking a little bit earlier. You've kind of shipped some all over the U.S. Really.
Yeah, it's funny how when you look at the analytics of the website when you start doing it and you see where people log on and how they log on and and how long they're on the site and all that stuff and it's kind of cool. I don't look at it very often, but I do like jumping on there 2 or 3 times a year just kind of see where people are looking at it from. And I've sent gigs to Alaska. I've sent gigs to North Carolina. I've sent a lot of gigs to Florida. It's fun to see. Where those go and what people do with them. A lot of them to Missouri, but it's fun to hear back from those guys every now and then when they get one. Because I've got, I hope they're not listening to this podcast right now, but I've had people since December. Actually, there's one in October that ordered one, and they're just on me all the time. Where's this at? And they're nice about it. Don't get me wrong, but I tell them, I'm like, look, I'm in the middle of football,
busy season.
I'm married. I got my kids, then I jump right into wrestling. Like this sounds bad, but like in March, I'll start making gigs again.
Yeah.
And, all of them, I say all of them. I've always tell them right away, I'm like, this is kind of your timeline. It'll be March. And, if you want your money back, I'll gladly give you your money back. And yeah, I completely understand. And I'll say this, for all the things that I've ever dealt with, one person ever has asked for their money back. Like, I'm not waiting that long.
Oh wow.
That's pretty good.
Every one of the rest of them has said, hey, whatever you need to do, man, I get it. I'm excited. I can't wait to have it. So it gives me that feeling of like I'm providing some kind of service that people are excited about, that people, you can't just go to the store and buy these, So.
Right.
I recently just received my order. I ordered this a while back. I've been waiting to pull this out the whole episode.
Oh, you got the signature series. I see.
Those of you that are watching, please, if you're not watching, please tune in and see this. I recently ordered this off of JH2 website and got it in actually this morning. And like he said, he doesn't have the time right now to be doing this. So
he forgot to put the ferrule on.
He forgot a lot of stuff. I've showed this to Henry since I was young, and he's always been like, "Let me see that thing. Throw that in the lake." I always tell him that. Do you mind putting your stamp right there?
Oh my goodness!
Oh, I got a funny story real quick on this. My neighbor, when I was, I think I was 12, he knew I went gigging the night before. Like I think Tim Reno or Jeff Duncan, one of those guys to take me with, either Colt Duncan or Kent Reno. I don't remember who it was, but he knew I went in the gigging, and he said, "You're into gigging now?" I was like, "Man, it's a lot of fun. I don't know much about it. I'm never going to have a boat. My dad doesn't do this, but I'd get to go with my friends and spend night and go gig and eat fish." And so it was a day or two later. This kid was an ag at the time. He was probably a senior, and not real talented, as you can tell. But he walked over to the house, and he had this in his back pocket. And he said, "You still gigging?" And I'm like, "We just talked about this on Monday. It's Thursday. Yeah, I'm still a gigger, man. I mean, I haven't retired from it yet, And he said, "I got you something." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And I knew he was an ag, and I'm thinking, what's he going to pull out? And he pulls this out. He said, "Just have somebody put a ferrule on it, and you got yourself a gig." And I held it, and I waited. Man, the anticipation was killing me. I was waiting on him to start laughing. And he said, "Have a good one, man." And he walked off. I thought, golly, he was serious. And about a week passed, and he said, "Did you get a ferrule on that thing yet?" I said, "No, I got to have somebody tune it up a little bit." I hope you guys are watching and looking at this. John Henry did not make this, obviously, but I tell him all the time, if he'll just please put JH2 on it. He hasn't done it yet. So I'm going to order my own stamps and get that done. It's kind of a cool gig, man, honestly.
It is. It is.
Is that a torch too hot or too cold? What's going on there?
That is way too hot.
Way too hot. Okay, I wasn't sure what it was.
Hot. Well, either that or he lingered a little too long on the way back down the middle.
It's the most hilarious thing you've ever saw in your life. But I've had that since I was 12 years old. And actually, it stays here at L&L. Somehow Laramie thinks he kind of owns it, and he does not. But it stays in his collection. He's always pulling it out and showing people. He'll tell people, "Oh, so-and-so made it." He'll say, "Josh Lillick made that," or "John Henry made that."
Now, I almost want to steal it and go fix it for you.
No, it's
That's
perfect.
what I want to do.
I was going to hand it to him, but
Hey,
I was like, no, better not.
we ought to at least, I'll tell you what, I might let you take it and put the junkiest ferrule you can on it. I mean, just a god awful.
And let it rust off.
Yeah,
it looks like it was made that way.
Yes, I might let you do
Make
that.
it like all out of shape, where it's with like one end longer than the other. You know.
And I guess that's what I get, because I kept emailing JH2, like, "Man, is my gig coming in yet?" And he sent me this. I got it in this morning, and didn't charge me overnight shipping. No, I've had this in my lap the whole time, just waiting to pull it out. Oh, that's hilarious.
You know how many text messages I get a year of somebody going, "What's wrong with your gig?" And it won't be my gig, and it'll be something just god awful.
And immediately it's not your gig.
Oh yeah. But they think it's the funniest thing. I think Chance has done it 3 or 4 times to me.
I'll see him on Facebook, like in Missouri. It'll be like, I have a J and an H on it, and I'm like, look at this.
Some of those Missouri gigs I wish I'd brought that one up.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting.
They're comical to look at. Maybe those guys probably think they're natives to it and know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I'm over here like, "Boys, come to Delaware County for a minute. We got to figure it out."
They're gigging different fish too. I mean, they're gigging huge suckers a lot of times. So it's a little bit different. So they can have a little more meat on their gig, and I'm sure there's a lot more solid rock and stuff.
Bottom,
So I mean, a lot of those are built to withstand that.
Yeah.
Whereas ours are built to
gravel,
kind of
smaller
mud
fish.
and gravel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
and they use some different poles.
Some fiberglass,
Foam filled.
foam filled.
a lot of them.
They float.
They put foam in the end of them, so they.
Some of them are made that way too. I don't know.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really understand that part. Like, do you ever get fiberglass in their hand?
You can if it gets old, but a lot of times you can run still sandpaper on them. If they start, and they're not bad. But yeah, I'm sure if you leave it outside and it gets old and rough, I'm sure it could.
I guess they're probably always straight and true, and they probably throw pretty good.
Yeah. They're a little heavier. I mean, I think that's what we get used to around here. Is ours are most people use poplar or ash or walnut. So they're a lot lighter.
Yeah. I appreciate you. If you don't mind, just. If I don't, I might send this in and have you put some barbs on it. With all due respect, Henry, this just is not going to work. I hope somebody's watching. We might only have 2 views on this, but by God, they're going to be dying laughing. Luke Black, I promise you, is watching, and he's dying laughing right now. He's always telling us episode 5 is the best one yet. He's going to love 18. He's all about gigging right now. There you go, Luke. What are yours today?
Luke called me the other day. I may have to borrow that and stick that in his package.
There you go.
Yeah, he's wanting one of your gigs so bad.
Oh, he's so bad. He's like, "Hey, you got in with him? Can you get me one of them gigs?"
He should have some. I think I got him some last year, year before, or at
he's
least
wanting
got him
more.
a Sawyer.
He might have found out you're trying to retire. Yeah. I'm about to order 20 of them, I think. I don't even need them like you guys do, but it'd be worth a couple $1,000 a piece probably. Just an investment. No. So then, just to tie up to end the evolving part of gigs, carp gigs, like you said, the Steve Lane deal, that you still make some big trident looking stuff. I mean,
Yeah, we do.
because for those that don't know, I don't want to divide the gigging, but there's 2 types of giggers in a sense for the tournament. We all eat fish, but for the tournament, you got your guys going east means going up creek and looking for suckers, red horse. Then you got your guys going west. Not that there's not suckers down the lake, but generally speaking, those guys are looking for big fish or carp. Real quick, if you guys don't mind, tell the point system how the tournament works. Actually, let's get into the tournament real quick. Just so we'll say the point system part of it. And I want to actually kind of talk about the history of the National Green Country Gigging Tournament, or Gigger Association, I think is what they call it, the Green Country Tournament. Just real quick, we'll talk about the point system so we can kind of talk about the difference of what you guys are after. Like Chance is a creek gigger, Henry is a lake gigger,
carp gigger,
and that's why we're talking about earlier. Like your boat has all some phenomenal weights in it. I mean, just big stringers and of course there's some bad years because carp are like I don't know. They're
temperamental.
Man, they're
Very.
and I know that from bow fishing for sure. What I see today scouting and tonight might not be there, and you know that as well. But real quick, carp and anything. I guess now we have some. Drum, Lake Uchee are all 1 point a pound. Sand bass or white bass, as you will, are 3 points a pound.
Correct.
Did something change recently on the sucker deal?
It did, but it's back to normal now.
Okay, so red horse are five, and then all other suckers are 4. Okay, so the idea of that, if a 2 pound red horse, you up the creek, you got 10 points. You got to find a 10 pound carp to get 10 points. So
correct.
Obviously that's simple math, but that's just a difference of where the lake's divided at the tournament. And you'll hear everybody at roll call if you guys ever come. It's they'll yell out a name. Tudor and Thomas East. Warden Posto West. That just kind of tells the lineup where you're headed, what direction, and that kind of right there paints a picture. Hey, those guys are going after for the standby people on standby. They're the viewers, the watchers. They're those guys obviously going after carp. I mean, when you hear
your competition, even
I mean, for sure. You're kind of listening. You might not have made your mind up yet. Like, man, he knows the stuff, and he's going west.
Why is he going west?
Yeah. Getting your head a little bit. Henry knows something.
I missed something.
Yeah, and if you hear a chance say I'm going east, you're not like, oh, I bet there's some grass carp up there. Obviously, he's going for sucker, right? So, anyways, that's just kind of the idea of how the point system works, and talking about the big gig, and with that, you've made some cool, like I said, tridents almost. I mean, just
going back to that first year, we went out scouting it was in '95. We go out scouting and I went with my cousin Steve, and I was a freshman in college, and I'd never got to be in the tournament. My dad was always in the tournament, obviously, started the tournament, and so I'd always just I wanted to be in the tournament so bad, but just never really could. He had the only boat, it's the only motor. It wasn't like we had 2 motors and all that stuff, and so him and his partner were in it, and that year he wasn't going to get in it, and he was living in Oklahoma City at the time. It was right after my parents got divorced, and so I talked to Steve, and we were going to get in it, and we go down there, and it was one of those years where there was a lot of fish up the creek. I mean, there was I think they had 400 some points the first night, but we go down, and he's like, well, the last couple of years when we placed, we went right here, and we pulled in, and it was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, like the first time we pulled in, it was like probably 5 or 6, 15 to 30 pounders, just kind of filtering, not running, just kind of oozing around. And it was like, oh my gosh. And so we kind of pulled out, went like another 50 feet, pulled in. There was another 6 or 8. And I was like, we pull in again. There's another 6 or 8. And Steve goes, I've seen all I need to see. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I've been thinking about it. I think we need to make these big gigs. And I'm like how big? Like, what are you talking about big gigs? Like, because my dad had always dabbled, like I said, with Louie, making different all kinds of stuff. Well, they'd made some bigger gigs before, but they never.
A couple inches longer or something, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit wider, a little bit longer, but they never really worked great. It was just kind of one of those things. And so, me being kind of analytical, and I'm like, well, I think they could never stick them very good. They were lighter, so like that. So maybe if we made ones bigger, so we could drive it on in. And Steve, had his ideas. We could do this and make that. So we went back to his shop at 11 o'clock on a Thursday night, and we found an old dozer pad, and he starts cutting on it, and we draw it out, and we start grinding. I think about daylight. I kid you not, daylight. We finished this first gig, and it's like, I think that'll work. It's like, all right, now we need to get some sleep because we got a tournament tonight. We know where some fish are. We showed up to the tournament with that gig right there, and you would have thought,
you got laughed off stage.
Oh my gosh, people like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And I was like, you're right. I don't have a clue. I don't know if it'll work or not. But by golly, we're going to give it a try. And Clarence and Bill were actually there at that time, and they kind of looked at it and they're like, I'm not going to pass judgment on it, till we see how it works.
Wait and see what happens at weigh-in, huh?
And that first night we went out there, and I tell you, I bet we lost 2 fish the whole night.
Wow.
And we came back, and we ended up with 800 and some points that first night, 800 some pounds. But we went out, and we loaded that boat so fast the first time. It was like 40 minutes in, and it was about to sink. It was like, we got to do something. So we go back, and I was like, I've never unloaded a boat, at the gig and tournament, and then went back out. So we go back up, and we got to do something. We start throwing them on the bank.
Yeah, because this tournament, viewers, is just a 2-hour tournament.
At that time, it was 3.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
3
that.
hours first night, 2 hours second night. That was before they changed it.
Well, I did not know this. Okay.
It was that way, for a long time. And but we go back up, and Vaughn Williams, who we'd known for a long time, he's kind of a friend of the family. He was an older guy, and he was walking along. I said, Vaughn, can you watch these fish so nobody steals them? Like, we still got an hour and a half. We're going to go back out. And he's like, absolutely. So he pulled up a lawn chair, just kind of sat down there by the fish, and we unloaded the whole boat and just piled them up around him, just like, here you go, just watch these. So we went back out, and we probably killed another 250 pounds. We come back in, and everybody was kind of coming to, that's the fun part. We have all the kids and all the people are running up to your boat, like, how'd you do? And I remember sitting there, and Steve is, if you know Steve at all, like, he's a great dude, but there's times where he worries about stuff. He gets still not like paranoid, but just like he kind of sometimes thinks the worst. And so he comes up and he's like, if we killed this many, we're probably, maybe we're 10th. I don't know. I'm sure everybody else did really good if we did this good. And so I'm like, there wasn't anybody over there with us. Like, we were by ourselves all night long. That nobody even came over where we were. And so we get back in, and some kid runs up and he goes, you guys did pretty good, but boy, this guy over here just slayed him. We're like, oh, great. We go over there, and it's our fish that the guy was talking about. Like, all right, now we feel pretty good. And so, like I said, we were in front that night by 407, or maybe even more than that, but it was a blast. It was an awesome memory. But, at that first year, because it was just dragging and gigging and dragging and gigging. The fish are kicking up blood, and now the water, because the boat leaks so bad. And when I got back, I had a white shirt on that had a wrestling thing on it, and it was just soaked red. And and your dad and Robin are there, and they're just like, you boys worked for that one, didn't you? Because we're soaking wet, got blood all over us.
I'm assuming you wound up winning that tournament.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, like I said, the first time
First
we
one you ever got in.
Yeah, and ended up being lucky enough to win it. And it was kind of like at that point, it's like, I think we've made our career choice. We're going to be carp giggers and
feast or famine.
Yeah, and like I said, there's been years where it's been awesome, and there's been years where it's like we hadn't checked in a fish. Just because there hadn't been any carp out there.
Yeah, it's all weather permitting, and yeah. That's part of it. So let's talk about the gigging tournament. Just briefly, because I don't think we need to go to every detail, but a little bit about when the tournament started, what it is, how it operates, how it works, and then and Chance has some cool questions through this too. And we can just you can just be hitting those questions as you go.
As we go.
Yeah.
So the tournament started in 1973.
It was the first one. Yeah. Yeah. My dad and like I said, Matt, his buddy, my godfather, they talked about it. They had these bass tournaments that were going on, and they're like, we need to have one for gigging. Like, they love gigging. My dad was in the NFL at the time, would come back. They had a lake house on Graham, but he knew Matt from college, and so they would kind of hang out. Matt lived in the area right over there by Low Water, actually by Marshall Boathouse up top. And anyway, they would go gigging down there, and they get to talking about this over, cooking some fish and having a little bit of whiskey one night, and they're like, we can do this. Like, we can put this together. And so they kind of started planning on it. And then they, that first tournament, it's funny, you think about it, like, they didn't have, I think they had a few trophies, but it was mostly like going around getting door prizes. Like, here, second place is going to be this set of boat tires, and third place is going to be this lawn chair, and fourth place is going to be, so they just kind of had all these different prizes, for who was going to win it. And they always talk about how they were sitting down there, and they'd put all this work into it and gathered all these prizes and done all this stuff and drew up rules and did all this. And they said they were sitting down there at about 7:15 on that first night, and there's like 6 boats down there.
Like crap.
And they're like, well, this was a bad idea. It'll just be the last tournament we ever have. And he said it was like 8:40, like just a line of boats, line of trucks coming from town, and they all unload them like, we're here for the tournament. It's like, okay, all right. I think by the time they were done, they had like 47 in that first tournament.
In the first year?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, but it was like I said, there was like 6 boats there at 7.
But still,
so,
man, that's impressive. I thought you were going to say the first year is probably 10 boats or something. I didn't realize it was that big.
But they did that one, and then they did it again the second year.
Who won the first year?
Manfred Long and Ralph Henderson. And Ralph is a good friend of my dad's, so I've known Ralph forever. He's passed away now, but they tell the story. It's kind of a hotly contested deal, because it was one of those rules where you're not supposed to drag across dry land to go to something else, and supposedly the water was high and it was muddy, and there was like a little, for just this is what I heard. I'm not sitting here passing judgment on anybody, but supposedly they drug it over into somebody's like little pond or something where all these fish were, and they were able to kill some carp and come back. I think it was like 130 points. It wasn't very many that first year because it was so muddy, but there's all kinds of stories. I mean, good gosh, I've been down that creek bank since I could walk, and so I've got to hear these stories and be around these guys my whole life. And you're not going to find better people, but there are some people that will do anything it takes to win. Yeah, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
What was Henderson's first name? Ralph.
Ralph.
And it was Ralph and Red Martin. Is that right? I said Manford for some reason, but
Yeah.
I think Manford might have got second.
I think so. Him and Everett, they were always in the top five there for a long time.
Yeah, they were kind of the pioneers for going way up creek.
Yeah, they were. But they ran that tournament. They kind of funded it themselves and did what they could for the first 2 years, and then they kind of saw that it was growing and going to be something good, so they kind of decided to elect a board and go that route. But then they, in doing all that, as things were growing, it was like City of Tulsa, kind of not like push back on them, but wanted to have some regulations and things like that because they didn't want just like this using the lake without a set of rules and taking care of things. And so that's kind of what led to the board and
organization,
all the organization of it, and then the communication with the City of Tulsa and kind of being everybody on the same page. And then around that same time is when the state of Oklahoma was going to try to, and I don't know if they had it before or if they were talking about it, but they were going to put a season on the gigging, which there's statewide, there's a season now, but they were going to try to do it across the whole board. And I know my dad and some other people went to Oklahoma City and talked to some of the lawmakers and got to speak at the floor at the Capitol and go through all that, with the Cherokee Nation and everything else, and was able to actually in Delaware and Mays counties. That's why there is no gigging season; it's year-round gigging.
And they present that as like a way of life here or something, or
it was a lot of the Cherokee tradition and the tribal thing, and so it was a kind of a big turning point for them to be like in these two counties only in the state of Oklahoma you can gig year-round. It doesn't happen anywhere else.
And thank God that they did that.
Yeah, because
there's some great gigging outside of December and March.
Yeah, what was it? It's like it was December 1st through like March 31st, I think, or something like that is the season. Yeah, but no, I mean we go gigging a lot in the summer, and have a great time and find a lot of sand bass and suckers and it's a lot of fun to go. So
speaking of sand bass, was it that time or another time your dad went into? Wasn't there like a sand bass deal that your dad done something with? Am I crazy?
I'm trying to think of what you're talking about.
Okay.
They made it a
I thought your dad had something to do with helping like save sand bass from getting taken away from.
They made it a sport fish or something
with the limit or something like that.
Yeah, so up until a couple years ago you couldn't bow fish sand bass.
Correct. Yeah.
And whenever I can't remember. I don't know if that was like the 80s maybe.
Yeah.
They passed that law, but some of the giggers went down to Oklahoma City, same type of deal.
Okay, I thought your dad done that.
He might have been part of it, but that was at the time too. Where
so he more saved the date part.
He more saved the no season thing.
Okay,
yeah, and I don't know if he consulted or part of that whole deal that went with the sand bass, but I remember them when that all happened too.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. I had my facts a little wrong there, but I knew there was a time that a few of them went down to kind of save being able to gig these because that was probably the same time that it fell off that you can no longer bow fish them.
Probably.
And then I don't know if things have changed since then, but
yeah, I believe you can bow fish them.
Yeah,
now.
I think so. But there's a limit on them?
No, there was.
Okay.
Like on Grand Lake, there was a 20 white bass limit.
Yeah. Okay.
Now it's unlimited.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So
just in recent years.
But a lot of passion from our area of preserving this and saving it and protecting it, if you will, just to be where we're at today because of all the tree huggers and whatever you want to call them, activists, that are against anything that looks like what we're doing. But like you said, it's a way of life. It's what we know here. I mean, and
it's such a bubble. I mean, even like I said, I live in Grove, 15 minutes away, but you wouldn't think something that is so big in Jay would be basically non-existent everywhere else. Right. I mean, there's people in Grove that gig, a lot of them, but it's like you could talk to just Joe Blow off the street and they don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Right.
Or they've never been, or they've seen some of these weird boats driving around town.
Or they even do it completely different in Grove even, or in some of the surrounding areas. As far as Jay kind of has his own, I mean, you're probably the bridge over there to Grove to kind of show people how to do it. We do it.
There's a lot of people now coming over to Elk River. So what used to be growing up, Elk River was like, we had it all to ourselves. Like nobody ever went over there, and then now that's a lot of people go there all the time.
Yeah.
And it's gotten really good as far as fish wise. Mm-hmm. I know back whenever I was in high school, you could go over there and sometimes there would be a few fish, sometimes none. Yeah. Now you can go, and it's usually pretty darn good.
Yeah, and it's strange, it's like we talked about with that little survey where it seems like the more suckers we take, the more they reproduce. It's weird. It's like, it's almost like we're managing the habitat, and it's hard to imagine as many as we take out there some years, how that the next year there could be even more,
wild,
but it's kind of a proof that, you need to manage your habitat. You can't just let it run wild,
Right.
But you got to make sure you're maintaining the population and taking care of the predators out of it. So
yeah, that's one thing to understand is that we do this for a way, and we've talked about cooking stuff earlier, but it's not just go out there just to kill, slaughter, and throw them on the ground. Like this is to eat. I mean, most giggers, I would say, around here kill enough to eat. You hear that all the time on the banks. Just kill enough to eat. Kill enough to eat. It's not about trying to go kill 200 suckers to feed 4 people. Obviously, of course, the tournament's different, but then back to feeding the community and how they do that and help to get back to that. Anyway, so with this tournament, we talked about the point system, and it started in 73. 73. This is year 54. Says 54th annual rep there. I thought it was actually 56, but
I thought it was 55.
I don't know. They might have, since the COVID year, they may not have counted that.
I'm pretty sure my trophy or plaque from last year, I think it says 54th.
Maybe that again.
Somebody might have messed the trophy up.
I'll have to look when I get home. They might.
I don't know.
Might have to redo some plaques or something.
So this is 54th or 5th, whatever it is. But there was just one year, just COVID year, was the only year from 73. So 73 to 20 is every single year's accounted for.
Yep. Okay. They actually had a polling tournament in 1980.
80 or 82.
Something like that.
Somewhere in there. Actually, you could look on that board.
I think it was 80 or 81.
On the board, the year Steve Wilson won with Rodney Shuck.
81.
81, so that was the year. Yep. Yeah, that was
the lake was like what?
Oh, they said at
10 feet low or something.
Oh yeah, they said past the bridge it was just like a trickle of water all the way to Dry Creek. Like there was nothing.
Much like
that.
07.
Way worse.
Way worse.
Way worse.
Wow. Oh, to Dry Creek. I'm sorry. I was like, that's about how it was up there. Yeah.
Wow. Dry Creek. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking south. Oh wow, that's impressive or sad.
Yeah, and there wasn't very many boats that year, but it was polling only, no motors, and it was only like 2 hours or something like that.
So when did Steve start getting in it with Greg?
It wasn't until like 91.
91, yeah. I see that 91, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So anyways, we're kind of quiet. We're sitting here looking at this board, all the different names on it. Chance's dad and Robin had won it how many times, Chance?
6.
6. Greg and Wall or Steve have won it 7?
9.
Oh, 9. Oh,
and Steve actually won it 10 times because he won it with
Rodney.
Rodney in the polling tournament that year.
9 times. I didn't realize that.
So that's how many times have you won it? 4. 2 with Steve and 2 with Douglas.
Yep.
All carp.
All carp.
Every year. Well, yeah.
We placed one year going up the creek.
Yeah, I saw you.
But it was the only reason we went up there is because it was lightning. And it's like we were still going to go down the lake, but I was like, that lightning's pretty big out there. We'll stay up here.
So you've won it 4, Wayne and Robin 6, and then Steve and Greg 9.
And you're 3, Chance?
3, yes. There's a couple other people who've won it 3 times.
Nate's at 3.
Yeah.
Bacon's at 3.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very many.
Chamberlain and Glenn.
Chamberlain and Glenn have 3. Yeah.
You know, we said something about lightning. Just for our viewers, this tournament dang near happens whenever. I mean, there's very few times it's been postponed or canceled, ever canceled besides COVID, and postponed only just terrible water.
Yeah.
Postponed like in 18 maybe or something like that.
It's been postponed several times, but it's usually because there's like a flood coming down the creek.
Yeah. Like trees coming down the creek.
Yeah. I think 21 we took off at like 11 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
And then back in,
I want to say 16 to 18 somewhere. There was
one of the first few years that I got in it.
They pushed it off a year.
2007, 2008. There was a bad flood and they postponed it a week.
Yeah. That's what usually happens most times, just a week push if it's a huge rain. So water clarity doesn't matter.
Right.
Weather doesn't matter a whole lot. Lightning and flood, that's
another thing. So it's I'm assuming always has been the second weekend of April, correct?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's always been in April. But, like, I was looking back at some old things back from the early meetings, and it was like they would have, like, a questionnaire sheet, which of these weekends do you want to have it? And they would have highlighted like, this is Easter, this is a full moon, this is first quarter, and people would vote on it, and then they would have it that weekend.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And so, which I looking through a lot of those old things, most of the people involved with it now don't know a lot of those things. And so I think that's what's kind of cool too, is be able to bridge that gap a little bit, and like, hey, this is how they used to do it when we get into certain situations.
Right.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Or, well, that was the old days and let's move on.
Right.
So
well, a couple of years ago, we it was supposed to fall on Easter, and we either had it the weekend before or the weekend after.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, and this, a lot of people, they set their vacation on it. It's
Yeah.
the second week in April. We're taking
Yeah, for the
vacation.
most part, it's the second Friday and Saturday of April every year, for the most part.
Do you know when it kind of went to that? Was it in like 80s or?
I think it was the late 80s, somewhere in there. But
I'm going to say, just I've been in it a couple times, but as a viewer or spectator even, I bet we've had temperatures as low as 30 or lower.
Lower.
And as high as probably 100. I mean, it's just in April, that's Oklahoma for you, though. And I mean, the second weekend of April, like, you just think of 65 or 70-degree rain. Yeah. But, yeah, we've had some freezing temperature. Yeah, probably definitely lower than 30, yeah.
And we've had some
sleet,
the teens when it snowed on us and freezing rain. And,
to short sleeve shirt or cut off shirts and shorts and, 100-degree weather. I mean, it's just, you never know what's going to happen in Oklahoma in April.
That's why when
Tornadoes.
Doug shows up in shorts, he says it's going to be a good year.
That's right.
Because that means it's warm enough for the carp spawn.
So you and Doug's first time winning, obviously Doug's first. It'd been your third.
Yeah.
Doug was standing by the fire after the tournament. It's about probably 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. And he goes, I can die now. I'll never forget that. I was standing 5 foot from him. I laughed so hard.
I don't.
I can die now.
I try to explain it to people. It's like we spend, sometimes ridiculous amounts of money and time and effort, to win a $50 plaque, and a small gift card. It's like we're not getting, something crazy out of
and
this.
fame that goes no further than 20-mile radius.
Yeah,
Right.
But it's so satisfying whenever you get a plan and it works and it comes together. And then sometimes you get lucky, like that first year with Doug. We had our plan and we kind of get out slow on the takeoff and there's already 3 or 4 people where we are. And so I said, well, let's kick it down to this next point. And we kind of hit that point and we go through it and we killed about 15 or 20. And I was like, let's go back through that. And so we go back through it and we kill 6 or 7 more. And I said, let's switch it out. So we switched out giggers and he ran me back through and we killed 7 or 8. And it's still like, there's nobody showing up. Like they must be finding some fish over there, but we can't leave this area. So
never leave fish to find fish.
I bet we looped that area 50 times that night.
No
and every
kidding.
time we went through it, we picked up at least 2 to 10 and just never stopped. And they were all,
Just
I think that year
reloading.
they were all like 10 or 12 pounders. They weren't big.
Right.
But pretty soon, and with carp, it's fun because it's, when you start taking water on the front, it's like, all right, we're doing something good. So then you start moving them to the back. And if you start taking water again, they start going back with the gas tank and everything else. And then now you're up to your knees in carp. And it's like, I don't mind this. This is fun. This is what we came here to do.
Yeah, they make washing machines for a reason, huh?
Yeah.
Or at least power washers, maybe.
Sometimes you better throw them away. It gets pretty bad. But no, it is fun. Like I said, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you have a great plan that falls apart. But I think that's what makes winning it so satisfying, because there's so many factors that go into it. There's been so many people that should have won it, and either motor trouble or something happened.
Didn't make it back in time.
They got penalized. I mean, we won it in 24 because, or was it 21 or 24? Because when Levi and Blaine, their motor, they blew their lower unit up and they go through it and they showed up late and they ended up getting docked points because they were back late and that pushed us up over. So. Just you never know what's going to happen, but I think that's what makes it so much fun.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And it's hard to win, very hard to win.
It is, and for especially those guys that have never won, when they do win, it is like the most exciting thing in the world. Like I'm happy for those guys too. So I always want to win, but sometimes you see a guy that's deserving, that's worked hard, that's been there and done things right, and you're happy for him, because it's fun to watch.
Yep. You've been in it just a hair over 30 years.
95. I didn't get to get in it again. 96. I was back in 98 or 99.
Okay, so you skipped a few years while you're at college.
I was in college. We were wrestling at that time, and I couldn't come back. And then from pretty much 99 on, I've been in it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much solid since then. So roughly 28 times.
Yeah. That just shows you how hard it is to win.
Yeah.
28 times and you won 4 times.
Yeah.
Which is
still pretty
really
successful.
good.
Yeah. And
Those guys been in there 30 times, never won once. I mean,
yeah. But then you look at it too, which is like, I think in all those times it's been won with carp 6 times, and we've got to win 4 of them.
Yeah.
So, that's, I don't know, kind of one of those things.
how many times have you, this, we talk about winning or placking. In this tournament, generally there's, I'm going to say 50 to 100 boats because it's just all over the place. I would say a good average is 75 probably. Is that a pretty good average?
I think it used to be probably closer to 60.
Yeah, it's been down a little bit here in recent years.
Okay, so
I think last year there was 45 or 50 boats.
and they're placking the top 10, and it's a 2-man team. And so they're giving 2 plaques apiece, 2 first, 2 second, 2 third, all the way to 10. And then there's also big fish.
Yep.
How many times have you won big fish?
8.
8. And how many of those were with your actual win?
1.
Oh, wow. So the other 7 were not a win, just big fish. No
Oh,
kidding.
wow.
I would have thought 4
Or
of them.
big
Yeah.
fish in, like 7th or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Big fish
still
in
plagued.
10th.
I would have thought 4 championships.
I really did
along
too.
with 4 big fishes.
So only
That's-
one. And was that with
that's
Steve
tough.
or Doug?
That was with Doug
Second time or first time?
the second time.
Wow. So just the last 24. No kidding.
Yeah.
I would have thought you'd done that. Yeah, well, that's cool. So that just shows you how it's hard to do both of
Yeah,
them.
and, you look back, it's like all these people talk about, like Nolan Ryan had 7 no-hitters, but he also had like 12 of them that he had 1-hitters that he lost in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
I've had, the team I've been on, we've had at least 6 that I can think of where we were 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3 below what the big fish was. So we were the second place big fish. It's like, man, if those changed, good gracious, I got 15 of them.
Yes.
But it's tough. It's tough.
Who knows if there's a little bit of slime in the basket or whatever, too. I mean,
You never know. But
not saying cheating. I'm just saying just overnight, just weighing stuff all night. A little bit of slime adds up.
The one that hurt the most was, I'm trying to think what year it was, but we killed one off Point of Gallcatcher that it was about 8 feet deep, and it was like I could see her down there, and it was like, oh my gosh, like that is the biggest. I thought it was a grass carp at first when I saw it's how big it was. But anyway, get lucky enough to stick it, find it, kind of bring it over and get it up in the boat. And I mean, it's just ginormous. Biggest carp I've ever killed. It was like 33.9 or something like that, 34 point something. It was just huge, but it had already like laid its eggs.
Oh,
and so its
gosh.
belly was just like
Oh,
all
my God,
soft.
just
And I'm
flat.
like, this is a humongous carp. Well, we get back, and Wade that year had killed one that was like 34.3, and ours was like 34.1. And I'm like,
Oh, my
the biggest carp I've ever killed in my life on this lake. And it gets second place that year, and it didn't have any eggs in it. I was like, what would that thing weigh if it would have had the eggs in it?
Yeah, it might have been
Oh.
37, 38.
Yeah.
So I killed a 30. I'd have to look back. I have a picture of it somewhere. Either 32.8 or 33.8 common with eggs.
Yeah.
My grandpa Bob was with me, and it's the only time he ever went bowfish with me
That's a
before he
ginormous
passed
fish.
away.
I mean, you look at it, there's not very many fish killed
I
over
know.
30.
No.
I mean, that's
And
carp.
it was on
yeah.
the flats right by the island.
Really?
Yeah, and it was walling through there, back out of the water, of course, and few males are around it. And I remember seeing like a bunch of just rustling. And that one, I was like, "Goodness, that's a big fish." My grandpa said, "Well, that thing looks pretty big," and he passed away in 10. This would have probably been like an 07 or 08, and it was a boat I bought from him, so he wanted to go with me and see what I was doing in the daytime. And anyway, so cool. But I wound up weighing it with a junky pair of scales, and it was like 36 or so. And I thought, well, I'm going to kind of weigh this again. So we met a fisherman out there, weighed it. It was either 32.8 or 33.8, and I weighed it again at the house, and of course it lost a little bit by then. And I'm talking full of eggs. I mean, and it was a giant
Ginormous.
common, and it had a pot belly. I mean, this looked like it swallowed a basketball.
Yeah, those are awesome.
So, matter of fact, before I say this, has anybody ever weighed in a grass carp at the tournament?
No, and I've only seen one in all my. And we actually Steve had an awesome shot to kill it. We go through it, and I mean that thing is right over there by past Wheat Hall, and it was just laying right there. I mean, just 2 foot of water, looking right at us, and just laying there. And he kind of wheels on it because we're going pretty fast in the tournament. And when he throws, and it hits that sucker square in the forehead. And I mean, it was just like donk. And it was like it sat there for a second. We're trying to slow down because we blew past it. And by the time we started to slow down, that sucker kind of caught its balance and said,
See you later.
yeah. And we saw it like twice that night in the same area, but every time we saw it, you
they're
know how
real
grass carp
territorial.
are. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just going 80 miles
Yeah,
an
and
hour.
they're
every time we
fast.
saw
Those
it.
grass carp are fast.
So Kent Reno and Heath Johnson shot one on Lake Uchee that weighed 49 pounds, bow fishing, and 2007 or 8, something like that.
This one wasn't that big. I would guess this one probably close to 35, 40. But I mean, it would have won big fish by a mile that year.
Yeah.
Maybe even 09. I was working.
I was
on the road.
down there.
Yeah.
Me and Colt were out on the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
09, maybe, does that sound right? Probably. I think I was working on the road. And
Yeah,
Kent wasn't.
08 or 09 probably.
Okay.
Me and Colt were over by the orchard, and they were over in the boat basin.
Yep.
And we met them out there in the water.
Man, that's
we thought they was kind of playing a trick on us.
I did too for a long time, but I mean,
Because I'd never seen one prior to that.
That's a ginormous fish.
but no grass carp's ever been weighed in the tournament that you know of.
Not that I know of.
Yeah,
like I said, I've only seen that one, and I've hunted for carp on that lake since '95,
Right.
and I'm sure they're there, but you know how grass carp are, so they kind of stay in one place. And
It's funny you say that about the gig just going. We of course back to my bow fishing roots. I shot a grass carp in the face swimming to me one time, and my arrow I thought it was gonna hit me in the eye. It came back so fast, swear to you. I mean, just it hit it right between the eyes, and of course, right after that, it was it turned. Right, it kind of stunned it, didn't know what to think, and by the time it was turning, Matt shot it. I think it was Matt or John shot it, and we got it in, and there was just a chunk of skin missing out of his forehead. I mean, I don't know what's behind their forehead, but I mean, and of course, I wasn't wasn't a brand new tip. We were just shooting. We wasn't tournament shooting, and I shot it right in the forehead, and just that arrow was. I mean, it's wild. So I can believe that story, even with Steve throwing a gig like that. I believe that it didn't penetrate it.
No, it was crazy.
They're like a buffalo on the forehead.
Yeah.
Now there has been a couple flathead weighed in as big fish, or as
Yeah, I was just checked in. I think my dad killed the first one I know of, which was like back in the '80s, and it was like 22 or something like that. It was a nice flathead.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've seen several smaller ones throughout, but I don't think the one's ever won big fish, but it's definitely the capability is there.
Yeah.
Because there's some big flatheads.
What's the
out there.
biggest big fish ever weighed in?
I think that one that weighed, it was like 34.
Okay. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I was thinking Cincinnati. I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah, there's only a handful that have been over 30. I want to say like 3 or something like that have been over 30. But, there's kind of like that year. It's like there's been a bunch of them checked in over 30, but it's the same year as another one over 30.
Yeah.
So,
well, isn't that weird how it happens like that? I didn't know if anybody's ever broke that. I didn't assume not, but
no, I think 34 point something is the big fish. It's the biggest that's ever been checked in.
Wow.
And there's usually it's 20s, high teens.
Yeah, I'd say pretty normal is around low 20s. Is pretty normal.
That's a good carp.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you go through all these bad years that we've had recently, where like your biggest fish you're seeing all night is 12, 14. And then you're like, man, imagine if I got a 30, because that 12 looked pretty big because I hadn't seen anything else, And then all of a sudden you see a 30, it would just be like, I can't wait for that year. We're going to have a year like that. And that's the thing about carp. Every year is not going to be good. And we know that. It's frustrating, but we know that. And then whenever the good year does come, though, you got to be ready to take advantage.
But even bad years for points, you can still be looking for that big fish all night.
Yeah.
And that's why you've killed however many you said, 9.
8.
8 or 8 of them, yeah.
And there's probably several teams that just go for big fish.
Oh, yeah.
That, not just gung-ho. They're like, let's just go out, have a good time, try to find a big fish.
We're going to go gigging. We're not going to overthink this. And we're going to go look around, and we may be the one that gets lucky.
Yeah. So. Well, Jamie Arp and Matt Haynes a couple years ago.
Because we get good in the same area as them all night long.
23 probably, something like that.
Out there jacking around, and they just happened to come across one.
Well, Jamie looked like he'd found $1 million.
24,
24?
I think so.
That was 24.
Yeah.
You would think Jamie found $1 million out there.
Oh,
He all night long he's excited about that. That's cool. That's funny.
You said back in '95 when you and Steve first won, it was 3 hours on the first night. Do you remember what year they switched it to 2 hours?
I'm sure I've got it on the website as I looked through it, but it would have been somewhere in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I want to say like 2002 or something like that, because around that time, that's when Trav and Bub killed all those fish, and everybody killed a ton of fish. Kind of like last year at the Suckers. It was a year like that, and everybody's kind of like, weak. This is too many.
So that was kind of the reasoning.
That was kind of the reasoning. It's like, we get too many fish to clean, all this stuff. We don't want to be wasteful with them.
Yeah.
Which it's like everything else. I think when you feel like people are picking on you,
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, we're already getting 1 point a pound for these carp, and now you're going to take an hour away from us from going down the lake, and looking for everything, so.
Yeah, because you got a further boat ride than those guys in the creek for sure. Way further.
Definitely distance further.
Yeah.
But, sometimes, depending on where you go, it's about the same time,
Yeah,
because those guys run way up there, and it takes some time to get up there. But, yeah, And so it hurts us to be able to, I think the thing is we get about where we're going about the same time, but if we load our boat down,
Right.
it takes us a whole lot longer to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why we hated losing that hour. You know, we'd lobbied like, hey, let's just make it 30 minutes if you don't do it. But there's more sucker kickers than there are carp kickers. So anytime it goes to a vote, we know we're losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, got to get the West guys built back up.
It's never going to be built up too bad.
You're right.
You know? Yeah. It's just how it is. I mean, but like Chance said, it's fun to have those rivalries, you know, because the years that the carp do win, it's so much fun just coming back in and people just looking at the boat full of them. They're like,
yeah, it's always cool to see that.
Yeah.
Like I'm still always just amazed when we walk by and your boat is just completely loaded with carp. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is wild.
Piled from front to back.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, what was it? I'm trying to remember what year it was. We were like in 40th after the first night. I think we had like 5 fish that first night. Then the second night, the water came just right, and we just loaded the boat down. We jumped from like 40th to 5th in one night. You know, like that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, those are cool nights.
Yes, absolutely.
So
go ahead.
good. I was just thinking about numbers as far as points. This will give me a minute to brag on my co-host here. So it was 2002,
one or two.
Yeah. And what was I know there's not a real number.
It's one of those years related, but everybody knew it was over 2,000. It was 2,000 something, you know, and it was just nobody had, for whatever reason, nobody kept records or something.
I think
like
Bub used to think it was 2040 or 41.
It's 220 or 240. It's either 2021 or 2041.
Yeah, something like that. And that was held from then until last year.
Yeah.
And Chance, from a distance, broke that record. Yeah. I say a distance as far as having a different drive, which they would have done that at the flats, which is at the mouth of the creek. Yeah. And Chance done it from the old schoolhouse, which is a mile and a half or 2 miles. I don't know how far crow fly it is, or boat fly.
Yeah, a couple miles.
Miles from the creek. And you had 24 what?
24 or 70 or 71.
Yeah, it's like you don't know. It's probably tattooed on him.
No, it's not. 24 something.
He's like, it is, but it's in Chinese. I can't see it. I can't read it.
2470.
Okay. So that, and Bub and them, did they shatter a record before them? And was that a long lasting record? Like the third highest?
Before them, it was like 1,600. I think your dad and Robin had that, you know, for a long time.
Yeah.
And that would have been from how long? Like in the 90s or 80s?
Yeah, I want to say like early 90s.
Early 90s, something like that.
Yeah.
Probably.
So you're talking like a 10-year record maybe, and they shattered it with 2,200 or 2,000 points.
Yeah.
2021, 2041.
Yeah, but it's almost like, you know, not definitely not taking anything away from Chance and TJ, but like what we're doing it with nowadays is way different. You know, like what Rob and Wayne did it with was way different than what Trav and Bub did it with was what you guys did it with. You know, and it's like, I don't know. It's
you take the tournament back at the flats on a regular year, and you have, you know, that kind of fish again. It might go to 2,700 because you have a quicker drive, and
I'd have been coming back to empty my boat.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, you look back when they did it, you know, with probably the blue Evinrude, you know, running up there with no trim, you know, and then you take Trav and Bub, who's got a little bit smaller boat with that 15 Johnson on it,
a little
running
faster
up there, you know, with a stainless prop,
go,
you know,
Bub, go.
You know, so you know everything evolves, everything changes, you know, but it's crazy how that number keeps getting bigger, even though we've been gigging this many fish for this many years.
Right. You know? Says a lot about our conservation and how we must be doing something right. I mean,
exactly.
And after that 2002 year, I just always kind of go back and look at the numbers. You know, they killed 2,000 points to win. Kind of went down a little bit, you know, take like 800, 700, 600. And then we went on, this is about when I started getting in the gigging tournament, you know, 2006 to, you know, probably 2014, 13. It was some low-numbered years.
Yeah, but if you look back at what's going on at that time, that's the deal. Like, you can't just look at the numbers, but I mean, like, weather just horrible, raining, freezing cold, muddy as can be.
There's a lot of low creek years in that time period.
Yeah, low creek or even just like super muddy, and the only places you can see it all is dry creek, you know, or some fingers in the back is down the lake. I mean, it's just. You know,
so many variables that you.
So many variables.
Like last year, it was looking to be a terrible year.
Yeah,
I mean, it was low like
just
it is
light
right
switch.
now, and then you know, Saturday before the tournament, you know, we get a rain and it clears up and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, or even like for the last 2 or 3 years where like the lake looks pretty good, but then the whole bridge construction is trapping all that mud, and then it starts pushing it out and it's just like, well, the lake's shot. I mean, it's like it's not even worth going down there. So it's a cruel. I guess that's why I don't know, the Mother Nature part of it is you can't predict.
Yeah.
And you can't. I mean, it doesn't do any good to get mad about it. You just got to adjust and move on because it is what it is.
Yep. How much has like say where the gigging side is changed since you were a kid or since you started gigging, as far as, there's a gravel bar that's pushed down now, and, the new creek is not much water there now. It's mainly back on the old creek side.
Yeah.
Like you said, the gravel bar, like the peninsula part right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's way down.
Way
now.
down.
Yeah. And, and I guess it goes back to two things. Like I used to hear them all the time talk about they used to allow people to take gravel out up the creek.
Yeah.
And then they quit doing that, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so ever since then, like that gravel just keeps pushing down.
Yeah.
It just keeps pushing down because it comes from somewhere. But I don't remember ever that peninsula out there like it is now.
Right. It's like a full-blown ridge out there now.
If it was low, there you could drag there a little bit, but it was never looked like it looks right now. It was always, kind of rounded right there, and you had Old Creek, New Creek. But pretty much, from my memory growing up, the New Creek was always there. It was always pretty open, and the Old Creek was just sometimes, depending on what trees floated down it. But the campsite, I think, is I remember more than anything else, because it was like, it was just the main part right there in front of the ramp, and then that other kind of to the side in front of where the bathroom is. But everything else was pretty much wooded. I mean, there was a lot of trees. And they didn't have anything blocked off. I mean, there could people pull back in the trees and camp. You could go here and camp. Like nothing was off limits down there.
Yeah. Now they got you kind of confined to the field area right there at the gigging site.
Yeah. And they've kind of opened that up a little bit further over there on the west side, and so, but it's. I'm glad we're still able to do it, and I'm glad it's still something that we can do. It's like everything else. I'm sure City of Tulsa, has to make rules because if somebody did something stupid, and now we got to do this because you did that, and so I get that part. But I just remember it's neat to be able to kind of get off by yourself sometimes and camp in a certain little area, nobody else around you, but that's not really an option anymore.
No.
What year was that when they closed all that? Because I remember you used to be able to drive to the mud banks and everything. I mean, what would that have been like? Maybe
somewhere
8, 7, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in that
I remember
2000.
when Jess got her license, because she was a couple months older than me. She had a Blazer, and we would drive around in there, just act like we were, mud bogging or whatever. And we had to go power wash it for her grandpa and saw it. if Ron is listening, I'm sorry. But and I'm trying to think if, I feel like by the time I got my license, maybe been like, I don't know, that would have been like 2005 or so, maybe is when they closed them off. I don't think I ever really got to drive. I remember like getting to drive her car, and I wasn't really supposed to be driving, but it's just funny looking back and I'm.
Yeah, they stopped a lot. They started stopping all that in the mid to late 90s, putting rocks across some of those where you can go be up there behind Brush Creek and all that stuff, and then down by the rock quarry. I mean, they started closing a lot of that stuff off, but so I'm sure it was late 90s up to the early 2000s, where they started shutting it all down.
Right. So it's definitely changed over the years. This may just be in my memory. I would go down there like and camp with whatever friend I was with or whatever, but I don't remember the actual creek bank of the Gigging Flats or the bank being like an aggressive drop off to like 6 foot deep. Wasn't it gradual at one time? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, the county used to come in and just kind of run that grader along it and kind of slope it where it was easy to put boats in for a long time.
Now it's just like that for just a little bit, and then it's straight drop off. It's really bad drop off now.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to go back and look and see where, like that tree that's sitting on the point, like, and I don't pay any attention, but it'd be neat to go back and look at some old pictures and see, like, was there 10 feet of bank in front of that at one time, and it just slowly pushed it back. I don't know.
How do people get those Google images where they can see them over the years? That'd be kind of cool if you could.
That would be cool. I bet you could.
I don't know how you can date those or whatever. That'd be cool to do, though.
Yeah. I think you can type in a year and it will actually show you.
Oh, cool. That'd be kind of neat to go through and just kind of see how the creek's changed, even just right there in front of the flats over time.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. So you've won it 4 times.
4 times.
That's number 2.
Yep. No,
or 3.
3.
Yeah. Wayne and Robin 6. Steve and Greg 9.
Yeah.
That 9, that's a big number.
That's.
Do you think anyone will be able to pass that?
No, I don't. But then again, I didn't think anybody could ever get to 9.
Yeah, true.
You know, because growing up, 6 was untouchable.
Yeah.
You know, but then Greg and Steve went on that just
four in a year, four in a row.
Yeah, 4 in a row, and
that gets some separation in there.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Sometimes people get lucky, and sometimes and when you're good, it helps too.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Does Walt always gig, or do they ever switch?
I've seen Greg gig before, but it's usually at the end of a night. I don't know
It's
how
wore
they
out or
switch.
something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Right.
I remember when I was a senior, I was in it with Kent Reno, and we were right beside Wall. Probably like I think I'll tell you, we were going up phone line, and Kent yelled at me. He said, "Just gig him. He is." I turned around and said, "I can't even see anything." I don't know how this guy was killing him. And of course, at the time, I didn't really know how to look in the water. I mean, it was real dirty, but he could just see him and he'd hit those brush piles and shake him, and no one come out there and smoke it and still in the boat. And I bet we watched him kill 40, and I probably killed 2. It was just terrible, and that's why that guy's a legend. I mean, just his vision was unreal. And it was swift. I mean, just watching him control that gig in swift water was.
He's so smooth. I've watched him gig a lot. Just kind of where he'll get it in upstream and come down, and he'll throw it, but you won't ever really hit the bottom.
Right,
just catch it right there at it. It's like it's fun to watch him.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch somebody who's good do what they do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He's a legend for sure.
Absolutely.
What do you think the future holds when it comes to the Green Country Gigging Association or the tournament itself, or just gigging in general? As far as do you think we'll ever lose that in the state of Oklahoma? What do you think, or some of your thoughts there about the near future and the long term?
I think it's a lot like a company, or it's a lot like any organization where if you have good people in charge of it and making good decisions, I think it has a chance to survive for as long as they want it to survive.
Yeah.
But as soon as somebody gets in there who wants to do it their way and not kind of take into consideration the history and what other people want and what needs to be done, and just do it. We're going to do it this way because I want to do it this way. I think that's going to be the demise of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know I'm not going to be around, forever, doing some of the things with it. And so you just kind of have to trust that, people are going to do it for the right reasons. The people that get in there and serve, and do it for the right reasons and try to keep it continuing instead of just, because all it takes is one person to, kind of like what the rules City of Tulsa made. All it takes is one person to do something one time and just like, well, you guys aren't allowed to have it anymore. I mean, that's the reality of it. And I hope that never happens. I hope people continue to get to do this and be a part of it and experience it. But, just like I said, it's the people you put in it and the people you put in charge of it. And, is what's going to keep it going. That's what's kept it going all this year is all the people that care about it and want it to go on.
Yeah.
But we just got to continue to put the right people in the right places to help it continue to go on.
A few years ago, Cherokee Nation got really, really involved, probably in 13 through 16, somewhere in there. Would you say they come down and did like the videos? All the videography stuff and a documentary, if you will. Probably a good little 20 or 30-minute video came out of it.
It was cool.
Yeah, talk about the OCO TV one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you were on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that probably just helped kind of show the rest of Oklahoma or the rest of the tribe or our area, their community, how important it is to locals here and the I think there's some good protection that come from that. Some good I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe just
it's good PR.
Yeah, some good PR. We're not out just slaughtering them.
Right. It's a family event. It's
people look forward to this every year. Like he said, plan their vacation around it.
Yeah.
Plan their weddings around it.
Oh yeah, have your wedding there.
Have your wedding there. Seen that happen.
Yeah. Seen a wedding. Seen a couple engagements.
Yeah. Seen people spread ashes down there.
Yeah.
Seen people pass out down there.
Yeah.
It's just true as well. That is true as well. But no, it's I don't know. It's one of those things where, as long as I can remember, it's been something I've looked forward to.
Yeah.
Like, just knowing I'm getting ready to go camping down there, or I'm going to get to go gigging in it. It's like, Miranda always, she jokes around about it, but it's half being serious. It's like, we don't plan anything the second week of April.
Right.
That's right.
They will joke around. They will do all kinds of stuff. Like, hey, I forgot what to tell you, we're going here. And I'm like, I hope you have a great time.
Here's my wallet.
Which, knowing my luck, one of these days, something's going to happen, and I'm going to have to go do it. It's just going to, and who knows? But it's just kind of a running joke around our house. Like,
you probably won't want to be around you when that happens either.
Well,
let's
just hope it doesn't ever happen. But no, it's been, I don't know, such a. I guess I just look forward to it so much every year.
Yeah,
getting to see people that I grew up with, people that I've known for a long time, getting to do something I enjoy, getting to be outside. There's so much that goes into it that I enjoy and love being a part of, and hope to continue to do it for a long time.
Yeah. It goes back to Chance and I every now and then on these shows, we'll just talk about, and it was my mindset as a kid, or not a kid, as a young guy, a young adult. I remember thinking, like, I don't want these kids learning about duck hunting and goose hunting or bow fishing. Like, I don't need a bunch of these rich kids leasing all this land and everything. But then
ruining my spot.
Yeah, ruining my spot, taking my places, or it would happen to us a lot. We get to hunt, such and such farmer's guy's place out in Ponca City or whatever, and then hunt that place a few times and bring him some crappie and bring him some deer sausage, and just thought we were the best guys ever. You guys hunt my place whenever you want. And then 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, that 10-year-old boy out in the yard, he's now 14 or 15 years old, and he's got friends that want to hunt, and the farmer says, man, I'm sorry, my grandson's hunting here, or whatever. So, at a 20, 22, 3, 4-year-old guy, I was always mad about that. But then, get past that, get a little more mature, and you realize the kids are the future of outdoors, of anything, pick any topic out there, and they're the future of it. Yeah. And they're as some would say, they're the right now of it. And that reminds me of this is the 16th annual youth tournament, and that is probably the best thing that the board has ever done for self-preservation and just to preserve what is to come. And I think that, in my opinion, the city of Tulsa probably looks at the gigging tournament as like a bunch of redneck drunks, whatever. But then you got to hit them with that, hey, but also we do the youth tournament. Yeah. And then they probably think, that's pretty awesome. And I that's just how, as a politician or whatever, I think you look at it an outside perspective that
we're going to take this away from a bunch of kids.
Yeah, from a bunch of kids. That there's actually sometimes 100 or 150 kids in this thing, or some of them don't even gig. They're just there just to get prizes and be a kid and eat hot dogs. And you're going to take that away from them. And I think that's, and I'm not saying we've done that as insurance, but I think it was probably the best thing we've done for the preservation of the actual tournament itself and the legacy, if you will. And I'm sure, you could probably add to that as far as what you think of the youth tournament. And I looked at that, and we said this a while back. I cannot believe it's the 16th year. We said this the other day, like episode probably 16. But God, it just blows my mind that they've been doing this for. In my brain, it's like 10, maybe 7 or 8, 10.
And now they're having it's a 2-night youth tournament.
Yeah, I saw that.
Young kids the first night, older kids. So 11 through 15 on Saturday night and 10 and under on Friday. Yeah.
Which
and I see L&L gets the
they got number one
for 11 through 15, first place. Looks like Brush Creek Skull Mounts for the regular tournament picked up 8th place this year. You don't want to win that trophy, Chance.
I'll take it. But, I'm going for number one, but
I want to win it. I've been in the tournament, I think 4 or 5 times, not very much, just here and there with the guy or two, and I've been so close so many times just getting a plaque. I can almost taste it. I'm just not cut out for it. I'm not a gigger, but I try hard. It's fun.
It's fun.
All it takes is a little bit of luck.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Last year, John and I got, I don't even remember what it was, 13th maybe or something, 15th maybe, something like that.
I can't remember. I just remember you beat Luke
or 2 years ago, I guess it was. Yeah, 15th and Luke got 18th. Yeah, there you go, Luke. Sorry. I've actually won a Attaboy one year. Yeah. They didn't have a trophy for it, but they all made fun of Kent and I. It hurt.
11th place.
Yeah, it sucked. It was we lost it to maybe, was it Dylan Weiss maybe or someone like that, or maybe Michael Fields, someone like that by I think 1.3 points or something.
It might have been Dylan and Kelly.
I think it was Dylan and Kelly. Yeah, I remember because Dylan kind of rubbed it in. Yeah, I think it was Dylan. It just hurt. I've had some close moments, but to give you an idea, these guys they're legends. Chance won it 3 times. John Hughes won 4. Wayne them 6. Greg and Steve together 9. Steve by himself, Wall by himself 10. Yeah. It's impressive, man.
It's crazy.
In 54 years to win it 10 times. That's
Well, he hadn't gigged in it in the last 5.
That's true.
So.
Yeah,
so really, he's won a fifth of them in his 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Speaking of pretty cool, about a month ago, I watched all kinds of gig making stuff online, and I saw a video Cherokee Nation put out about their Cherokee national treasure, Larry Shade. And I don't know if you don't know Larry Shade. His dad was Hastings Shade, who was the principal chief or deputy principal chief for a while. And I watched that video, and it shows him forging out a gig and showing how his dad used to make it. And I've never forged one out, and I always thought that'd be cool to do. Like I said, I cut mine out with a torch and weld and grind and shape it, and I hammer some of it, but most of it's done with a grinder and going from there. But I always wanted to learn how to forge one, so I watched that. I've seen several videos on people forging them. Well, I go to one of my daughter's basketball games in Holbert, and I get up in the stands and watching the game, and I kind of look over to my left, and there's a guy maybe 5 feet away, and I'm just like, that guy looks just like Larry Shade. Like, I just watched this video like a month ago. Like, he looks just like that guy. And I'm like, God, surely not. I don't know where the guy lives or where he's from. And so I'm sitting there, kind of look at him again, and I tell my wife, and she goes, well, ask him. I'm like, I'm not just going to ask somebody. Is this your name?
Hey, Larry.
Yeah.
No, leave me alone. I'm watching the game.
Grandkids playing.
I sat there for a second. I thought, what's it going to hurt? So I said, I hate to bother you. I said, are you Larry Shade? He kind of looked at me and goes, wait, who's asking? I was like, I'm pretty sure you are, because I saw this video. You look just like him. I make gigs. Oh, you make gigs? He just turned into like a completely different guy. Super nice, super whatever he could do. And as soon as like 2 minutes into, he's like, you have to come down and learn how to make one. He's like, come down to my house. He lives in Lost City, which is right by Holbert, just out there. And he said, come down here. We'll go to the same forge my dad used, same place, same everything. He said, and I'll teach you how to do it. And I'm like,
oh, that'd be cool.
Man, that would be awesome.
How old's this guy, Larry Shade?
I'm just guessing. I would say 60-something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But but like, you couldn't. And I think that's what's cool about when you find somebody who has a similar like as you, or similar, interest, and how how hard it is to do what they're doing, and you want to pass it on.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to meet him, and I hope to goodness I can find some time here in the next month or two, because it's kind of like it's an outside forge, and so you want to do it in spring. You don't really want to wait to summer.
Yeah.
Right. Very pleasant to do it.
Hot.
But, yeah. And so hopefully I can make a day or 2 days to go down there and have him show me how his dad did it, how he does it. And
are you going to try a 3-prong or just 2?
Oh, boy.
Might start with
He's on my list of spear.
When you watch him and they have to cut him with the chisel, and then spread him, we might start with a 2. We might even start with a crawdad gig,
Yeah.
But then you got to be really close on your heat. It's a whole different ball game, It's
Are
something
you
I've
kind
never
of telling
done.
me you're thinking about buying a forge if this goes good?
Boy, I don't know about that. Let's see how long it takes.
Okay.
Let's see how long it takes.
You might be down there for a couple days.
No kidding.
He's gonna want 500 for the first one. It's 60 hours in it.
But I just think it'd be a cool experience to build a gig like that, because I've never done it.
Oh, it would be cool.
And it is with people who do something the real way. It's like when deer hunters, you're like, how'd you kill that? I shot it with my rifle. They're like, yeah. You didn't shoot it with your bow. I did. I feel pretty proud of myself.
Did this guy know you? Had he heard of you?
No, he hadn't heard of me. But he's like, I don't have social media. I said, well, I don't either. He said, well, that's okay. He said, but I don't get on the internet much either. And I'm like, I completely understand. Like, I'm not expecting you to know who I am. Don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you, like, I make gigs also. And but no, he was super nice, and man, couldn't ask for a better experience of meeting a guy, and then to have him come down and invite you down. Like, I was pumped about it.
That's cool. Yeah. That'd be cool. I'm curious to see that.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make 2 of them and give me one. Just
maybe 3.
Yeah.
One for everyone at the table.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're on the table, you get one.
Exactly.
That'll be cool. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Yeah. I'm curious to see. I know. I'm sure it's very difficult. Kind of like everything else, you got to learn and kind of understand some things. But to have somebody like that showing you, I think it'll be a neat experience.
Is he well known for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, he's a Cherokee national treasure, been recognized by the tribe for for his ability to make gigs and what he's done, and carrying the tradition down and passing it on. And so,
and just out of curiosity, like when you look at this totem here, I'm assuming. Forging is just obviously not as pretty as cutting and grinding. But nowadays, are they kind of with tools and stuff? Are the forgings coming along a little better, or are they still kind of overlap looking like that? Or?
I think you're always going to have a little bit
because
of that unless you
style.
clean it up. But again, I don't know enough about it. I don't want to lie to you on it. But I think if you are good enough at it and you want to take enough time to keep heating it and cleaning it up,
Gotcha.
I think you can make it. Because I've seen some of, Totem Hare's old ones that were just beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a 3-prong, and I'll have to show you sometime. It's slick.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you're good enough at it, and you take enough time at it, I think you can make them look really nice.
Yeah. They always seem like they have just a little bit of overlap down on the bottom.
Yeah.
Where the ferrule, where they wrap that.
Yeah.
You about have to. So.
Yeah. I would think so.
To my ignorance, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not positive. When they forge one, there's 0 welding on it.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't know if the ferrule still got attached or if that also just gets, like you said, wrapped or
it's stretched out.
Yeah.
They hammer it all out, stretch it out, and then they roll it.
Okay, that's true. I forget about the slit down it. Yeah,
Now they do. I guess it's what they call like a forge weld on the end, where you can use some flux when you fold your barbs back. That you can kind of forge weld that by hammering it down. But no, as far as anything else, it's a hammer and it's heat, and that's it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Man, you'll have fun doing that.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's always fun to learn something new.
Yeah.
So, especially from somebody who's good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I know your talent. I'm sure you're going to be good at it
You'll,
as soon as you get back.
You'll make a good one. We know it.
Yeah. I think the thing is you don't realize how much hammering you get.
Yeah.
Like right now, the hammering I do, I'll roll my ferrules and I'll roll 8 or 10 at a time, and which take about 5 minutes of ferrule. So after about 40 minutes, you're like, holy cow! Your forearms tight.
Haven't done that in a while.
Enough for the week.
Yeah, it's you just forget. And if it takes 2-3 hours of hammering, you better be ready to swing a hammer.
Now, did Jesse or anybody use like a pneumatic hammer or when they were doing it, or
No.
everybody hand hammered? Yeah.
Yeah, just hand hammer it down.
Yeah. I didn't know when you said earlier that Jesse had some cool tools. I could see him having something like.
Well, like cool tools. He has a plasma cutter. All I have is a torch. He had like a belt grinder. All I got, I use different ways. I've built some different things to where I can grind specific spots with them. But there's some tools I wish I had. But then again, it's like, man, I don't want to spend that much money just to make gigs with them. I can make them fine, like I'm doing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think part of it too, as you go through and make them, when you do it certain ways, you're not working the metal as much. Obviously not as much as forging, but you're not working it as much if you just plasma them out, don't weld your barbs on, and then so I think with the way I do it, and I've made them different ways, but the more you kind of go through that heat cycle with them, and I think that helps the temper, and then that's where too, you find that middle ground between, I want them hard enough to take a lot of stuff, but also not so hard that if they hit something really solid, they snap.
Right.
I want them to bend.
Crystallize. Yeah.
Yeah, I want them to be able to bend a little bit, and that's kind of the thing. Some people don't like them bending, and I'm like, it's better than breaking.
Yep, for sure.
So you got to be smart about where you're gigging with them.
And you've definitely got the tempering down, because I've bought a bunch of your gigs and I have never broke one.
Yeah.
A few other gig makers I've broke, whole tines off, bent the middle one well over the other one. But you've definitely got it down.
Yeah, some of my early ones where the ferrule attaches. It was just learning as you go. But I would, because when I first started making them, I used just a stick welder.
Oh yeah,
I didn't have a MIG.
Yeah,
and it's like I said, I was poor, I was cheap, and so I learned how to kind of feather it in there, and sometimes I did better than others, and sometimes I ground it too much a little bit, made it thin, and so I had to kind of figure out a way to what works for me, and finally, kind of figured out how I do them now, and I haven't had that problem since I've started doing them a little bit different.
Yeah. Chance, anything that we missed when it comes to gigging?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
We could talk about it for hours.
We can talk about it forever.
Yeah.
But we'll have to continue that at another time.
Yeah.
Hit the high notes anyways, I guess.
We hit the main parts and
hit
some good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Henry, it was good having you. Man, I enjoyed it. And time goes by fast.
I know.
So I'm looking at the
2 hours and 45 minutes.
Nice.
Of just talking.
Well, that's a light night when you're on the creek bank.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right.
We have the same conversation, but we just now be finishing our first batch of fish.
Right. Well, I guess we could leave here and go kill some and eat. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm always ready to eat a sucker sandwich.
So say that after you turn the mic off, so my wife wouldn't hear that.
Is that why you got home so late that night? No, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
I don't know
thanks-
if you have
thanks for coming on.
any last comments or anything that you didn't think of, or
No, like I said, there's a million things we could talk about. I just want to tell you guys, I appreciate you guys bringing me on. I appreciate you guys, just kind of being the voice, for the outdoors and for the Delaware County in this area. I mean, it's I know a lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people, check up on it and the little rut reports and and the antler, all the little stuff that you guys do. I think it's an awesome thing, and it's kind of like you said, we got to have people involved and people speaking out for it.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to your point earlier with the youth and stuff, I think the more we can, not like be involved, but the more that we can show them the right way to do it, the better it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I think when we see somebody doing something wrong down there that we know they shouldn't be doing, we can't be afraid to step in and say, hey, this isn't how it's supposed to be done.
right.
It's not how we're supposed to do it.
No, you're right about that.
And
those moments are awkward sometimes, but
they are. And I think when I was younger, I couldn't do it or didn't want to do it, and the older I get, the more I see, like, if I don't step in and make sure they understand, like, this isn't the right way to do things, it's going to have a bad effect. The better it's going to be by me stepping in and saying, hey, let's make sure we do this the right way. It's not how we act down here. That's not what we do down here. And so,
you're right. And that goes along, what the Bible says. The Bible says when you rebuke a wise man, he becomes wiser. And sometimes going to rebuke that guy is tough, or going to come alongside somebody and sharpen them. But you're right. When it from life skills to gigging flats, whatever that is, I mean, it just come along guy and hey, man, what you're doing is not right.
Yeah.
And
Straighten up a little.
Yeah. And it's tough to do, but when you rebuke a wise man, he becomes wiser.
Yeah.
And some of those kids aren't very wise. So maybe when you rebuke a foolish man, he'll get a little bit smarter. Maybe what that means. Some of those kids are foolish, but we were all kids at once.
I've done a bunch of dumb stuff. I guarantee you. But there's always somebody there to tell me, hey, you're acting up.
Yeah. And there wasn't Snapchat back then, thank God.
That's true. Thank goodness.
Thank God.
Yeah. But I always think that, it's like all it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. That always kind of rings true to me. It's like, if I just sit there and watch it, we talk about it in coaching. It's like,
I like that quote.
You're either teaching it that way or you're allowing it.
Say that one more time. I want to hear that again.
So if you see something happen, you say you're either teaching it that way or you're allowing it.
That's good.
And if you're not teaching it, then you're allowing it.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those sobering reminders. Like, if I don't like that and I'm not proud of that, then I need to go do something about it.
And the other quote, want to hear it one more time? The evil one.
All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
Golly, those are both good. Yeah. And Henry's always got some wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
But, like I said, just little things that pop in your head here and there that, like, man, I should go say something to that kid. Because at some point somebody said something to me, and it helped me to understand, like, golly, I am being stupid, or I am doing something I shouldn't be doing. And so, I guess we're in that position now. Now we're getting to be the people that, are the voice of reason, which is strange because my whole life I was not a very good voice of reason. But the older I get and my daughters get older, I've understood that I need to be a voice of reason. So.
Yeah.
Well, there's always been something special about you, Henry. I think a lot of kids, I speak for me, I'm probably a chance too, have always looked up to you down at the flats. There's John Henry Ward. Man, that guy's cool. He got a cool truck. He got a heavy boat.
Gigs a lot of carp.
He's got big gigs in the boat. He's a cool guy. And you're a giant on top of it. Everybody has to look up to you. What are you now, 6'8"?
6'7".
6'7".
Yeah.
And his partner's not a small guy either.
No.
Douglas Ray is. He's
6'4" probably?
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. Two big guys in a big boat killing big fish with big gigs.
Just Doug and I getting in there, we're over the weight limit. That's without the motor, the generator, and everything else. So much less
if Lake Patrol, what's the not Lake Patrol? Coast Guard ever shows up, you're in a jam, man. If they figure out how to get to Lake Uchee, they'll be in a jam too.
They're a little bit out of their jurisdiction.
Yeah, get out of here.
Exactly. But no, thank you guys for having me on.
Oh,
it is fun.
Thanks for being here. We're so glad to have you. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 18. Man, they're going, huh?
I was just saying number 18.
18, man, they're going by
fast.
quick. Golly. And, even at episode 2 or 3, we couldn't wait to get to 20. And here we're almost there. And then before long, we'll be at 200. It's we appreciate all the support. And I think Chance and I's heart that this continues to grow. Our radius gets bigger. Share with your friends. Even if they're not from here, share it with your friends in Colorado. Share it with your friends in California. Henry, I hope some of your coaching buddies get to watch this, and maybe some guys you wrestled with growing up, and maybe your your family here and there. I hope that everybody, and that's our goal with this, just to spread awareness for the outdoors and the passion we have. I mean, Chance and I are passionate about what we do in the outdoors, from working it here at L&L all the way to recording it on the podcast. Yep. It's
we just want to share, good stories and
tips, pointers,
people who are, do the same things we do, or do different things in the outdoors, and just a different perspective.
Yeah. It's been fun so far.
Yeah, it's been good.
Henry, you made episode 18 phenomenal. Yep. I appreciate you being here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please continue to like, subscribe, follow, share, all the things I don't ever know what really means, but keep doing it.
I got one more thing to say. Sorry for anybody that watched last week's episode. I probably look like a zombie. I was sitting here about to die. I'd been sick for like 2 or 3 days, and I was just getting over it, and I had to have looked pretty rough.
I'll tell you guys this, before the thing stopped recording, he was up out of the chair and leaving. He's like, guys, I got to go home.
Got to get it.
Yeah.
It was bad, but I'm back healthy again. And
that was a fun episode too. John
was a good one.
So that one more thing, we went from having John Ward to John Henry Ward. So it's maybe get confusing. 17 and 18 was not playing like that. Actually, we were trying to divide them up so it wouldn't be like that.
We're trying to space them out.
But it just worked out like it is. It's supposed to be, I guess. So, but John's story with, he's like, then it gets worse, and then it gets worse.
How could it get any crazier?
My gosh, that was a wild deer story. But man, Henry, thanks for being here.
Yep, we appreciate it.
Guys.
It is awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Y'all.
You guys have a good evening. Thank you.